see it all, as long as it all happens directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse. Your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel, and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
At Edwards Air Force Base, I'm Chris Davis. The mood is somber while investigators continue to try and find the whys and wherefores about Monday's crash. Meanwhile, the names of the 8 people killed are not being made public until all of the families have been notified, says the Air Force. The base says the craft was on a training flight that they call routine when it crashed on takeoff just before noon Monday, sending thick plumes of smoke into the air. Another investigation is going on, this one by the Highway Patrol, to determine why a wreck happened this morning in the Fraser Park area that killed a man who was riding a motorcycle. CHP says just after 6 a.m., the man was hit from behind by an SUV, which knocked him off the bike and into the air. He came down, hitting the SUV's windshield, which killed him. The man driving the SUV stayed and cooperated with police. They do not believe he was under the influence. They are still trying to determine that, though, for the man on the bike. His name has not been released. A life sentence plus 4 years was handed Cesar Vasquez Monday in the 2022 murder of security guard Odulio Rodriguez, who was 36 when he was killed July 3rd, 2022 at the Gravity Tobacco Shop in Oildale, where he worked. Police say Vasquez admitted to holding up the shop and shooting Rodriguez several times, and it was caught on video, which helped convict Vasquez in April. The county of Kern is suing the city of Bakersfield, and the county's lawyers say it is to protect the ratepayers from the sewer rate increases approved by the city council. The county calls them unprecedented and says they believe the rate hikes also go against state law by including stormwater. The county also says the lawsuit is necessary to provide relief for the people. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Welcome to the rest. Well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody. Excuse me. And a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, this is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick is producing the show on this 16th day of June, another busy show on this Tuesday. You know, we were actually supposed to have Teresa Goldner today. She was going to call us from wherever she's gallivanting around this big planet of ours, but she texted me this morning and said she couldn't make it. But I do believe we'll talk with her on Tuesday. She's on vacation. She won't be back in Kern County until July, but she does intend to call in next Tuesday. She intended to do so today. But Howard Marcus will be here on his new day. I think this is his second or third week on his new day on Tuesdays. He'll be with us on Wednesdays. And we got some local news. A local family is livid. Their mother, Gayla Sue Price, killed by an 18-year-old drunk driver. And the district attorney's office has settled for a plea deal. We'll break that down for you, explain why they're so upset. And you'll hear from the daughter, Crystal Nielsen. And the White House continues to not condemn. Ooh, I split an infinitive. Don't split infinitives. Although that's become almost common to not run. That's grammatically incorrect. Not to run. Anyway, they refuse to condemn what went on at this UFC fight where this idiot called one of the first ladies of the United States. Forget about Michelle Obama. Forget about your hatred for Michelle Obama, because I'm not even going to go where that originates if you want to know the truth. But let's just forget about Michelle Obama. She's God, I almost cursed. She is a first lady of the United States. There have only been 45 of them. And for Dana White to have to come out and call this ridiculous and condemn it, and yet the White House, in no official capacity, is willing to say, this is about as disrespectful as it gets. This is like, I don't know, the President of the United States putting the heads of the President and the First Lady on an 8-body. Oh, wait, that actually happened. This is unacceptable. For most, it's unacceptable. For many of you, it's a good laugh. It's just, can you imagine if they did this to Barbara Bush? Have you ever noticed that she looks kind of like George Washington? They would never think of doing something like that. Why? Because she's a first lady. That's why. I don't give a damn what you think of Michelle Obama. She deserves and has earned our respect as a first lady who, by the way, unlike most first ladies, had to raise 2 children in the glare of the nation in the White House. Excuse me if I'm upset about this. And there's a big Atlanta, Georgia primary going on. They're trying to outdo John Ossoff. The Democrats are trying to pump him up by insisting that he's a presidential candidate. Not if you don't win this Georgia Senate race. He's going up against 2 Republicans. Mike Collins is the anointed one from the president, and Derek Dooley is a former football coach. People my age may remember his dad, Vince Dooley, who was the coach down in Georgia when I was in Atlanta, and when Herschel Walker was killing them down in Athens. And this is his son, who's also a football coach trying to get into politics. It's been done before. Tommy Tuberville, longtime Mississippi coach, he was a former senator, now he's running for governor. So it's been done. And guess who was on The View today? Not that I would know, because 23 is still in cahoots, or not in cahoots, battling DirecTV. So I did not see it. I did steal some audio that did I have that? Oh, I have, no, I don't know. I didn't send that to you, did I? The JD Vance stuff?
Oh, you did.
I did send that?
Sent me the one with him and The View.
Okay. All right. We will play that. And I'll explain why he's on The View. And Brendan Scoresby, have you been following this story?
Sorsby, yes.
Sorsby, is that his name? This kid that bet $90,000 as a college football player, some of it on his own team when he was playing with Raider star Mendoza at Indiana. He placed some 9,000 bets. And there was a battle on whether or not this kid should be eligible. Of course, the Big 12 was willing to go to court because they don't want to see this kid. He's a talented quarterback. And so there was an injunction, and then they said it's okay. And then now the Big 12 was going to appeal, and he just said, screw it. Screw it. I'm good enough. I can go in the supplemental draft. I can go play professionally where everybody gambles and nobody gives a damn. And I'm out. I'm out. So that saga has ended, but there's some other facts I'll tell you about. And the Dodgers won tonight. Tanner Scott got a big save last night with 1 run. And guess who hit the home run to break the tie? It looked like the damn World Series. Miggy Rowe came in and got a big home run for the Dodgers. And we just keep rolling along. But we begin with, you know what? I got to take a break because my phone died. And there's something on here that I wanted to talk about in regards to the Big 52 Strata Fortress that went down here in our county. We're getting more and more. Hang on just a second. We're getting more and more information. Just give me a little time to give you a little cursory view of what we know that's new. And then coming up, they've identified as the New York Post one of the flyers. I'll tell you his story in just a second. But they're suspecting, they're talking about maybe hydraulic problem. Maybe the plane was overweight. They're even investigating whether it was maybe a bird strike. There was a B-52 that went down in the 90s because of bird strike. That's amazing to me because this is a gargantuan plane. This isn't just some commercial plane. This is something that, is, I'm trying to look at my notes, 70,000, can carry 70,000 pound weapons. It has a range of 8,000 miles. We have 72 in the fleet. There are 58 that are active, 18 on reserve, and 12 on long standby duty. And they're looking at possible structural failure. Did the plane have the proper thrust? Problem is, this is an old plane. I mean, it's obviously been renovated and et cetera, and tried to bring up to speed in the 21st century. This thing is older than I am. This thing was born in 1955. And I know Mary Marcus was talking about, we were talking about motion pictures that depict the B-52. And Mary's mentioned Memphis Belle. Well, those were B-17s during World War II. The B-52 wasn't born until after Korea. And they're old planes. They're just old planes. So we won't know. Again, they've stressed that it'll be another 6 months into this investigation. And since it's a government thing, they don't have to report to anybody. So it'll be a while before we find out what went on and why those 8 crew members, including a couple of Boeing employees and a couple of government contractors on the plane as well. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I'll tell you the identity of one of the flyers that was killed in the plane. The New York Post has identified this young man. His family has set up a GoFundMe account, this one a legitimate one. That's in reference to Carmelo Anthony's parents, who are just getting pummeled, as well they should, using their child's appeal money to buy a home and a Range Rover. And it's crazy. And you heard from the president. He insists that while the MOA, the memo of understanding, has not been released, he said it'll be released on Friday. In fact, he just might read it in all of its 1.5 pages. Have you stopped and thought, how serious an agreement can it be if it's less than 2 pages long? We agree to talk. Signed, Donald J. Trump. I remain cautiously optimistic. And we are efforting or expecting or crossing our fingers for a phone call from Supervisor David Couch. As we know, we reported this late yesterday. The county is suing the city about the sewer rates. Hopefully the supervisor will call us after the afternoon meetings. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio.
Luigi's? Okay. And 2, MOU? Understanding? You said MOA. And not that it was a big deal, I was just making sure.
Dev John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, guys, you've heard me call Gino Valpredo the Michael Corleone of the Valpredo family. As many of you know, Gino went off to Arizona State to play football. There's a great picture of Gino in his football uniform as a college kid right near the refrigerator in the main dining room. You ought to check it out. It's a pretty cool picture. And he thought he was just going to come home and be a businessman. And he came in and filled a void for his family. And the things that he has done to this restaurant, obviously the most glaring is the warehouse, been an absolute game changer. But I mean, there was a time, and we don't remember these days, where there was no air conditioning at Luigi's. Well, now there's air conditioning. There's misters on the back porch. You can have a wonderful afternoon having lunch by the Bailey Bar, even on a day like today. So where would you rather be? Get away from the heat, get inside to Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, stop by the deli, say hi to Lynette, try some of the Italian wines. As I tell you, she's one of the best sommeliers on the planet. get some of that Luigi's gear for your children or your grandkids, where would you rather be than at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show?
I'm the thread that's already inside the house. In the closet, under the bed, in the car. But I don't want your money or your TV. I can't be scared away or negotiated with. I'm patient and quiet. I don't sleep. You can't call the cops on me. You can't even see me. I'm the threat of family fire. And as long as your guns aren't stored securely, I'll be there. Protect your family. Secure all your guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-730-7788. 800-730-7788. Again, that's 800-730-7788.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
So I stand corrected. It was the California Post, not the New York Post, that is reporting the first victim of the catastrophic crash that we experienced out at Edwards Air Force Base. He has been identified as Lieutenant Colonel Miles Middleton, a decorated test pilot. Quote, Pam Middleton and her two children are facing an unimaginable loss after Pam's husband, Miles, was tragically killed in the crash of the B-52 at Edwards Air Force Base, according to a family friend. Middleton had commanded the 419th Flight Test Squadron at the base. From 2016 to 2018, the squadron oversees the Global Power Bomber Combined Test Force, which is reasonable for testing some of the military's most powerful aircraft. Photos released by the base showed Middleton, I don't need that, a GoFundMe painted a heartbreaking picture of the challenges facing Middleton's widow, Pam, and the couple's two children, a boy and a girl. With Miles gone, Pam is now responsible for supporting her family on her own. The funds raised will help cover immediate expenses and bills, providing some relief as they adjust to the new reality. In addition to daily living, we don't need to know that. As of Tuesday morning, the appeal had raised a little more than $25,000 of its $45,000 goal. Edwards has not formally identified any of the 8 victims. The Post has reached out to the family for a comment. The appeal concluded with a plea for support. Middleton was among 8 people who died after the bomber crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards at about 11:20 a.m. Monday. The Boeing B-52 Stratofortress is an American nuclear-capable subsonic jet-powered strategic bomber. A massive plume of smoke billowed over the remote desert installation in Eastern California after the aircraft slammed into the ground and erupted into flames. Military officials later confirmed the crash was, quote, non-survivable. Colonel James Hayes told reporters the aircraft went down immediately after takeoff and that the victims included military personnel, civilian government employees, and contractors. Hayes described the tragedy as, quote, tragic and unsurvivable, adding, the investigators are only beginning to piece together what went wrong, and that it would take months to determine the cause of death. The aircraft involved was one of the Air Force's aging but heavily upgraded B-52 bombers, a fleet first introduced in 1955 and built by Boeing. The planes can carry up to 7,000 pounds. Okay, just a horrible, horrible story, and it's going to take a long, long while to figure out what went wrong. Meantime, the president insists that deal is in the makings, signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's just a matter of following up with crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And that J.D. Vance is on his way to Switzerland later in the week to make this thing official. And again, you know, as much as we want to talk about the JCPOA, do you know how long it took to put that thing together? And again, it just doesn't make sense that they're simply going to sign off on an idea for providing the uranium. And the president has put together a 14-point strategy or agreement that does include $300 billion. Now, we're going to talk with Mr. Marcus a little bit later, who chimed in yesterday to remind us that it's coming from the global, the Gulf Coast states. I don't care where it's coming from. It's $300 billion we're going to give these thugs, these hoods, that for 47 years have dogged us, killed us, threatened us. And what's the Lebanon-Israeli situation? Because I'm not the smartest political science student, but I'll tell you what, there's no way in the world that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to stop chasing down Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's just not going to happen. And that's one of the prerequisites of the deal. And Iran is saying, if he doesn't sign off, we have no deal. And I just don't see how they're going to say, okay, they being the Israelis, we'll just live with Hezbollah. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Okay. I just don't see that happening. Just don't see it happening. Let me get to his 14-point deal. And again, I don't have my glasses. I have yet to go up to Dollar Store. Hell, I've yet to go back to Stockdale Country Club. Because I'm playing Sundale Sunday. So I'm just going to swing by on my way home. I won't take the right on Stockdale and go to In-N-Out. I'll take the left and go get my damn debit card. But now that I figured out how to use my wallet, I don't even need the damn thing. It's great. Although you can't, can you withdraw money with the wallet?
Ooh, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think, yeah, you need a card for that.
And not that I ever withdraw money. And anytime I do withdraw money, because I never draw large amounts of money, anytime I do withdraw money, I get cash back.
Right.
I just get like 20, 40 bucks. Because I like to have cash around the house for my my Uber guys. It's a big difference when you give them cash as opposed to doing it on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
They light up like, because nobody does that. And they light up like Christmas trees when you give them like $5. I swear to God, they're like, oh my God, thank you. You have anything I can do for you? Wash your car? Clean your toilet? No, I'm good, thank you. Here are the 14 points. Iran would maintain the, quote, status quo of its nuclear program, which has been largely decimated, while negotiations continue, a 60-day ceasefire. The U.S. would lift its naval blockade, hold off on new sanctions, and refrain from sending more troops to the region. Iran would guarantee, this is number 3, safe, toll-free passage for commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days. That's another thing they're not signing off on. They're convinced. We have provided them with leverage. I don't think they ever really knew how much leverage they had with the Strait of Hormuz. And I think they're going to hold out. I think they want money, which is never going to happen. Washington would release an unspecified amount of frozen Iranian assets once the MOU takes effect. That's what I'm talking about. And any number that's larger than the number that Barack Hussein Obama gave them is just going to be, chicken dinner for the Democratic Party. They're going to have a field day with that. A final deal reached after the 60 days would see the United States withdraw its forces within 30 days and lift all sanctions on Iran. It would pave the way for a $300 billion reconstruction fund for Iran. The U.S. would allow Iran to resume all oil sales through temporary sanctions waivers. Iran, and Gulf states would negotiate new shipping and maritime security arrangements for the Gulf. Okay, all right. Those are lofty goals. I just don't see it, but I shall remain cautiously optimistic. I really will. But I just don't see how we pull this off. Meantime, here's the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
I'll not only release it, I'll probably have a press conference and read it to you word by word so that the press covers it accurately.
He's referring to the page and a half MOU, the Memo of Understanding. It's a page and a half long. It's a page and a half long. I mean, what could there be in this thing that's of weight that is going to change this thing? I don't know. Because the only win, and again, we'll talk a little bit about this with Howard, but the only win is the destruction or removal of the uranium. That's the only victory that is possible. And I hope that this administration doesn't see the opening of the Strait of Hormuz as some type of victory, because that's where we were before this thing started. And there's a part of me that just thinks, is this a stock market manipulation? Because every time Trump says we're close, the stocks go nuts. We just broke a record today. We're over 52,000. I just think there are a lot of rich, entitled folks making a lot of money on this war. Meantime, gas prices are down. They're at one of their lowest levels. And you got to give it to the president. He said as soon as we make a deal, they'll come plummeting down, and they absolutely have. They're under $80 a barrel, and the national average is at like 404. It was like 425 just a week or so ago. Quick timeout. Head into the back half of the hour. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. Howard Marcus joins us at 4. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
In Washington, President Trump's administration is further dismantling the Department of Education, moving oversight of special education and civil rights to other agencies. The Department of Justice will take on enforcement of civil rights in education, while the Department of Health and Human Services will oversee special education. Soon, half of all American school kids will live in states that offer public money for a private education. Texas is the latest to join in, budgeting $1 billion to spend this fall on private school scholarships or homeschooling expenses. Next year, the federal government will start incentivizing private school scholarships in states that have never offered them before. Mixed day on Wall Street as the Dow was up by 328 points. The NASDAQ dropped 307. More details at slnnews.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure. Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. At Edwards Air Force Base today, the base and the Air Force are still looking into the cause of yesterday's fatal crash of a B-52 in which 8 people were killed. The names of the victims are not expected to be released until all family members have been notified. A man riding a motorcycle was killed this morning in the Frazier Park area around 6 a.m. when an SUV hit him from behind, knocking him into the air. He hit the windshield of the SUV. When he came down, the driver of the SUV stayed and cooperated. Kern County and its attorneys are suing the city of Bakersfield over the sewer rate increases approved by the Bakersfield City Council. The county says they believe the increases go against state law, and the suit is to provide relief for residents who will be paying the increases. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Step into the spotlight at the all-new and always thrilling Hard Rock Casino Tejon, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield. Play your favorites across over 2,000 slot machines, plus baccarat, blackjack, roulette, and craps. And with Unity, whatever you do, you get rewarded. Play here and redeem at other Hard Rock properties. Enjoy live entertainment, exceptional dining, and energy only Hard Rock can deliver. Hard Rock Casino Tejon. It all happens here. Must be 21 or older. Concerned about your gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 K.
Set with our district attorney and her office. Ms. Price was killed by an 18-year-old back in 2023. He was high in marijuana, and his toxicology level was not that high. However, he killed somebody. Bottom line. Hang on a second. Our phone wire has escaped its little portal there. So I got to go through underneath the desk as opposed to through the desk. Forget it. I'm talking to Chris. Forget it. And as well, they should be. I mean, this kid's getting 8 years. They did a plea deal. And as Crystal Nielsen will tell you, this is from audio from KGT 17, she said that she was lied to by the DA's office.
I'm not just talking about my mom. I'm talking about all victims of Kern County. And I feel like I've been bamboozled, strung along for 3 years to say it's a winnable case, to have a trial, our day in court, and we didn't get that. It said it went up the chain. So I'm going to hold her accountable because she's not speaking for the victims of this town.
That is sad. I can only tell you my dealings with the DA's office when I was attacked in a restaurant. And I'll tell you, they walked me through the whole thing. They were straight up with me. They were honest. They told me what they could probably get as a prosecution and just walked me through the whole deal, gave me, advice on how to even recuperate money for my damages, et cetera, et cetera. That is, if there is a flaw in the DA's office, I think it is a glaring flaw that they make a lot of plea deals. Now, I think if Teresa Golden were here, who's a former Kern County counsel, or if you were to talk to former DAs, some of whom I know who are now in private practice, they will tell you that that's just part of the game. As unfortunate as it may be, that's just part of the game. I just absolutely disagree with that. I mean, part of it is the number of attorneys that they have down there, the time and cost to have a lengthy trial. And the DA's office put out a statement that I had to photograph because it was too long. I wasn't going to write it all down. I just took a picture of it, and I hope I can read this. This is what the DA's office said. The agreement was reached in consideration of all the evidence adduced in the case, including information developed during the criminal justice process. The resolution considers the defendant's criminal conduct and the grievous harms it caused, as well as the defendant's youth, lack of criminal history, level of intoxication, and likely trial and sentencing outcomes. All criminal case resolutions are subject to independent review and approval by a judge who considers the concerns of both sides and assures that any negotiated resolution appropriately addresses the criminal conduct involved within the bounds of the law. Well, I think some of that is true, obviously. I'm not going to call them out as liars, but I think there is a level of scorekeeping that goes on. I mean, that's just human nature. And most DA's offices, no matter where it is, they have a prosecution rate well over 90%. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we give defendants so many rights, because to be blunt with you, the game has shifted for the prosecution. They have investigated. First, it starts with the cops. The cops investigate it, and they hand over the case to the DA. Then the DA has a group of investigators that go over what the cops do. Basically, the defense literally doesn't have to do anything. Doesn't have to do anything. They have nothing to prove. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. But I just think that in situations like this, where a mother is coming home, a grandmother is coming home from grocery shopping, and she gets hit head on, and he gets 8 years, that just seems morally wrong. And imagine if this family is this livid. They were out on Truxton yesterday pounding the pavement. I'm sure some of you watchers of 17 saw the video. But imagine what the family of the girl that was killed by Henry Ruggs is going through. Henry Ruggs, the former Las Vegas Raider wide receiver who was going 156 miles an hour and killed a 21-year-old girl, he got 3 years, almost got paroled just about a month ago. He was up for parole. So you can kill somebody and you're eligible for parole after 3 years. And this guy, driving the wrong way, hits a woman head on. Their grandchildren will never grow into their teenage years with their grandmother. A senseless act of death, and he gets 8 years, so meaning what? He'll do 6, 5.5? Come on. That's not justice. I don't know what you call that, but that's not justice. The idea that you can be that irresponsible and that stupid and take somebody's life, whenever there's a life involved and lost, the hammer should be huge. I didn't hear anybody complaining when a black kid got 35 years. And this kid ran a car into somebody and he's getting 8, doing 6, maybe 5.5, maybe. Come on. That's not justice. And, you know, I think Cynthia Zimmer is an ardent officer of the law, meaning that she hates criminals. But I think there are compromises that are made in that office that should not be made. Did they think that the family was going to be good with this, particularly after they claimed that they were told that there would be no plea deal? One of the relatives told KGT they were told flat out there will be no plea deal. And I think that's why you hear in this statement that there were circumstances that changed and blah, 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 blah. They gave it a really nice press release spin. That's why I could never get into PR, because your job is to make something not look the way it looks, essentially. Shine that up for us and make it look attractive to the public that we're giving this kid a pass and he'll only do 5 or 6 years for killing someone, for denying a family member. That's the part of this whole equation that I don't think that these people think about. There is a family in great distress. She's driving home from grocery shopping. We can't even go grocery shopping without being in danger. We can't even do that in the 21st century. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Anything on the board?
Got a couple here.
What do you got?
Ralph, I remember when Luigi's didn't have a menu with Louis and Tula when Luis and Tula were running it.
Wow, that's a long time ago. That is a long time ago. How did we survive in Luigi's without air conditioning? I mean, I'm sure they had some sort of ventilation. I remember they must have had like I don't think they had fans. I think they had a swamp cooler, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, Gino has taken that restaurant and places. And Lynette. Remember, Lynette was a school teacher down in Redondo Beach. And I remember when she first came back and I was like, really? Redondo Beach? Bakersfield? Really? Are you okay, Lynette? Because Redondo Beach, as you well know, and I've stated it 1,000 times, that whole South Bay area is my favorite part of Los Angeles. Any of those beaches, Hermosa, Redondo, Manhattan, and I've told you about the best seafood joint in Los Angeles, Tony's Fish Market on Redondo Beach. If you go deep into the restaurant, you can be literally in the, well, not literally in the water, but hovering over the water. And if you go for lunch, you'll see seals, maybe even a couple of dolphins. And they've got the Crow's Nest bar upstairs. Oh, it's just, and it's old as Methuselah. Like you'll go up the steps, their spiral staircase up to the Crow's Nest, and you'll be like, are these steps gonna last? Are they gonna hold me? Because it's crickety and old, and oh, it's my favorite part of LA. But she came back, she was a school teacher down there, and she has absolutely transformed the deli, absolutely transformed it. And brought in, the wine tasting that they do 3 or 4 times a year. I think it's every quarter, 4 times a year. And with the warehouse, that's been an absolute different event, the wine tasting, because everybody's in one building. And because there are times I'd go to the wine tasting when they had it at the restaurant, and you'd be like, what? You were there? I didn't even see you. Because, in different areas, I'd hang out in the back where all the lamb pops were. That's where I hung out. But it's amazing what he's done with that restaurant. It really, really is. The air conditioning, the outside bar, what Lynette has done with the deli and introduced some unbelievable Italian wines. It's absolutely remarkable what they've done with that place. It really, really is. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll continue to check the board, see what y'all are talking about. Coming up top of the hour, it's a Tuesday. Howard Marcus will join us, our former federal agent. And I've got some miscellaneous news and notes to get to. Floyd Mayweather. And didn't you kind of know this? Have you talked about this?
What, him being broke?
Broke is a joke. Didn't you kind of see it happening?
Oh, yeah.
Even when he was worth hundreds of millions, just his careless, reckless attitude, betting $500,000 on Super Bowls, and you just knew it was going to happen. Well, now, not only is he broke, but if the government wants to make an example out of this guy, he might be going to jail. He owes everybody, and now he's wanted for writing a bad check. First of all, hey, who writes checks in 2026? Like, do you even have a checkbook? Chris, do you have a checkbook?
No.
I haven't had a checkbook in 10 years. I used to write my rent and check, but now you can do it on my phone.
Honestly, I just needed that initial one for the direct deposit numbers.
Yeah. You kidding? Nobody uses checks. That's why I think they're going to make an example out of him. Because nobody writes checks, and he knew damn well this check was going to bounce. I'll tell you the amount and what he was trying to purchase. And J.D. Vance was on The View. He's selling a book, and his 2028 presidential campaign has started, believe me. And it's off to a pretty good start. And Brendan Sorsby is headed to the NFL. Screw the Red Raiders. Screw the issues, the courts, the injunctions. I'll just get real money that I can bet on. Quick timeout. Coming right back. It's TRBS on a Tuesday. Right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens? Someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large, community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options and make confident decisions about your care. Again, that's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. Woo! And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon, Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his long-standing and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Ellie, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
This is the Ralph Bailey Show, right?
Okay, hold on.
Black guy from LA?
You tell me to mix it up all the time.
Yeah, but let's have some black mix up.
Steely Dan. Who doesn't love Steely Dan?
I do love Steely Dan. I grew up listening to Steely Dan before you were even a twinkle in your dad's eye.
This is true.
And I got blown off. I was supposed to go to a Steely Dan concert, and I got blown off. Oh, we only had 4 tickets. We thought we had 5. You're telling me this an hour and a half before the concert? Yeah, we were just leaving the house. I totally got blown off. I was literally about to get in the shower. I was like, what, 11th grade? And I thought I was going to see Steely Dan. But no, not to be. 842-537-6842 KERN. What else you got on the board?
Let's see. Calling Michelle Obama a man is like calling her an ape. Very, very disrespectful. But this White House always has to do the wink to the racists.
You're absolutely right. That's well said. Because I truly don't think Donald Trump is a racist. I think he loves playing one, though. I think he loves kind of, as you described it, winking at his base. For him not to immediately come out and say, as you all know, there are very few things that President Obama and I agree on. But for anyone to make a ridiculous statement about a former first lady is unacceptable. And this job, and of course, the guy has to come from Kern County. This oaf, this moron. And the fact that people laughed, it just makes me ill. I'm gonna play some audio a little bit later on the program from Alex Jones. And that's all I have to say. I mean, I don't even have to describe what he said. You know where he went. And it's racist. That's what it's all about. If these were white Democrats, they would never, nobody went after Jill Biden like this. Nobody went after Joe Biden like this. You know, it began with this guy wasn't born in the country. And guess who perpetuated that? That there was no hospital, that the hospital that they claimed he was born in Hawaii didn't exist. When in fact they had documents from the doctor, they had documents from the nurse. It is just an absolute disrespect of Black people. That's all it's about. Because we've never seen anything like this before. Is it just a coincidence that a Black president gets lambasted for wearing a beige suit? Do you remember some of the things that Barack Obama, and I had to defend him as a Republican, which went over really well with my audience, but they used to trash him for going to the Oval Office without a sport coat. When I've seen dozens of pictures of Ronald Reagan with his sleeves rolled up, sitting behind that desk. And what does Trump do? Trump uses the Oval Office as a dressing room. Did you see that? I saw this in some of the clips. I didn't watch the UFC fight on the White House lawn, but some of the guys were getting ready to go out and fight from the Oval Office. Like, am I the only one that just finds that just absolutely inappropriate? There's an office where John Adams sat, where Thomas Jefferson wrote, where Abraham Lincoln made some of the most important decisions this country has ever faced in its lifetime. And that's where these hoodlums, these thugs, these morons were getting ready to fight. Call me crazy. 842-5376. What else you got?
I write a lot of checks for my business, Ralph.
Okay, well, then the answer is business people, I suppose. But to purchase things? Nobody writes checks to purchase things. And wait till you get a load of the amount of the check that was written. That's why I honestly think, because of who he is and his just absolute disdain for normal societal rules, they're going to make an example out of Floyd Mayweather. They really are. I think he might have to do some time. I don't want to blow my segment because it's coming up after Howard. I'm going to talk about it, but you'll be amazed how much this check was worth and what he was trying to buy and his history of not paying people. That's why I think they're absolutely going to make an example out of him, because this wasn't one incident. This was oops. No. This is who this guy is. This guy doesn't pay his bills. And you cannot do that. That is a crime. It's an absolute crime. What else?
From 49er Larry, I write checks. I don't give access to my bank account to anyone.
You know, I believe that, Larry. I believe you still write checks. That I do believe. So the answer is business people and Larry. That's crazy. How fitting is that it's Larry that still writes checks? Anything else?
Yeah, we got a couple more. The Michelle Obama joke came from a Joan Rivers joke years ago. I remember it.
That's part of the audio that I'm going to play with Alex Jones, where Joan Rivers is the reference point. Because, you know, I mean, again, it's the only way they could attack her. They can't call her stupid because she got into a school that 95% of y'all couldn't even get into. Based on your grades and your SAT scores, and this black woman got in. So part of it's envy. You can't attack her for her success. She was an attorney and was supporting the family while Barack was a community activist. Can't bag on her there. Can't really bag on her as a first lady. She didn't do anything controversial. She tried to get our children to eat right and exercise while she was raising her own children in the blazing, hot, glaring light of the national spotlight. And I don't know if you know this, it was all the papers, but she's a first lady who deserves respect. And again, like I said, for the White House not to condemn this in any way and have Dana White be the voice of reason. I love that guy. I really do. He's a brilliant business guy, and he had the cojones to stand up and say this was wrong. And I'm really disappointed in Joe Rogan, because how Joe Rogan sat there and held the microphone for the guy and heard him say that and then just went, Chris Burdick, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, Joe. You're better than that. He's supposed to say, come on, that's ridiculous. Let's show respect. We're at the White House. Let's show some respect for a former first lady. Chris Burdick, ladies and gentlemen. That's all he had to say. That's all he had to say. We are at the White House, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some respect for the former first ladies. What if he had said, you know, Barbara Bush was an old bag, wasn't she? You look just like George Washington. You ever notice that? You ever see George Washington and Barbara Bush in the same room? Can you say that? Is that all right? Can you get up there and say, you know, Betty Ford was a flaming drunk. That's why they have the name named after her. That's where everybody goes now when they're drunk, because Betty Ford was a bumbling, stumbling drunk. You never hear that. Why? Because she's a damn first lady. That's why. But if you come in with a little melanin in your skin, you're open game. You're fair game. They can call you transgender. They can say you're a man, implying that the president of the United States was gay. She has children that have to hear that. Children in their 20s that have to hear that nonsense. Think about that. Think about if you're Sasha and Malia and what they've been dealing with in the last 48 to 72 hours. It's reprehensible. Everybody thinks it's just a joke, Ralph. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's another act of racism in the 21st century. Quick time out. We head up the hill. It's a Tuesday. Howard Marcus, former federal agent, joins us next.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN.
Try to make it to Lawson's today.
Bakersfield, an American General
Try to
Media
make
station.
Man, I had the best chicken breast last night. It was so funny.
The U.S. and Iran agreed to a framework extending their ceasefire
came
for
out
60
flat.
days, with a formal signing ceremony expected
Flat,
Friday
like
and
a
nuclear
chicken fried
talks to
steak.
follow.
So I said,
Republican
"What's
Senator
this?"
John Kennedy says
This
he
is
looks
what I
forward to
ordered.
seeing the
She
terms
goes,
of the
"Yes, it
Iran
is. This is
ceasefire
failing.
agreement.
This is what I get all the time."
see the document till Friday.
I go, why
It's
is
okay.
it flat?
I'm
Did they fry this?
I'm
And I
expecting,
hear her in the
based
back.
on what I've heard,
Rest of the
general conceptual language.
This is what Ralph
I'm
orders.
very hopeful that it'll work.
And she goes back, they say it's what you
Um,
order. And turns
we
out
won't
it was one
know
of the best
for
fucking chicken breasts I've
60,
ever had.
maybe
Swear to God.
90 days
Swear to God.
whether we're going to
It's
be
one of the
able
best
to
ones I've ever
confess
had.
a real
I know.
agreement with Iran.
The agreement could reopen the
Yeah.
Strait of Hormuz,
Yeah.
ease pressure on global energy markets,
Yeah, you got to turn it
create a
back
window
sometime.
for negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. A Russian warship fired warning shots at a UK-registered yacht in the English Channel today.
The British military says it is investigating after a private yacht reported being fired at by a Russian warship outside UK territorial waters. Russia's defense ministry says their crew tried to contact the yacht when it was seen sailing on what they say was a dangerous course near the ship, launching flares, issuing sound signals, and says when the yacht did not respond, their crew then fired warning shots with small arms. The BBC reported that the yacht, which has no motor, had drifted towards the Russian vessel in foggy conditions. No damage or injuries were reported. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
It was a mixed day on Wall Street, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 328 points, but the Nasdaq dropped 307, with the S&P 500 lower by 42. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener, like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV, but if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to you at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Lenny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to My Computer Career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Oil prices drop.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
At Edwards Air Force Base, I'm Chris Davis. The mood is somber while investigators continue to try and find the whys and wherefores about Monday's crash. Meanwhile, the names of the 8 people killed are not being made public until all of the families have been notified, says the Air Force. The base says the craft was on a training flight that they call routine when it crashed on takeoff just before noon Monday, sending thick plumes of smoke into the air. Another investigation is going on, this one by the Highway Patrol, to determine why a wreck happened this morning in the Fraser Park area that killed a man who was riding a motorcycle. CHP says just after 6 a.m., the man was hit from behind by an SUV, which knocked him off the bike and into the air. He came down, hitting the SUV's windshield, which killed him. The man driving the SUV stayed and cooperated with police. They do not believe he was under the influence. They are still trying to determine that, though, for the man on the bike. His name has not been released. A life sentence plus 4 years was handed Cesar Vasquez Monday in the 2022 murder of security guard Odulio Rodriguez, who was 36 when he was killed July 3rd, 2022 at the Gravity Tobacco Shop in Oildale, where he worked. Police say Vasquez admitted to holding up the shop and shooting Rodriguez several times, and it was caught on video, which helped convict Vasquez in April. The county of Kern is suing the city of Bakersfield, and the county's lawyers say it is to protect the ratepayers from the sewer rate increases approved by the city council. The county calls them unprecedented and says they believe the rate hikes also go against state law by including stormwater. The county also says the lawsuit is necessary to provide relief for the people. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Welcome to the rest world. In a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 16th day of June. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com and broadcasting live on YouTube. Still lots to do. I'll talk more about Josh Hockett and his comments about Michelle Obama at the bottom of the hour. Get you caught up on one of the big primaries that are going on down in my home state of Georgia, where they're trying to unseat Jon Ossoff. They're trying to hold on to that seat as the Democrats try to flip the Senate. Give you an update on that. J.D. Vance was on The View, which again explains why I watched The View, although I haven't watched in a week or two because of the situation with KERO and DirecTV. But I mean, they got the Vice President of the United States, and they just had Jill Biden on a couple of weeks back. I mean, it's well produced. It's produced under the ABC News umbrella, which is a joke. And the other news is Joy Behar apparently I don't know if this is accurate. I read it on the internet, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But she may be leaving the show, which makes sense. She's going on 81 years of age, and she only works 4 days a week. She never works on Monday, and Whoopi never works on Friday. Those are always the best. In the meantime, it's a Tuesday.
The marimba rhythm starts to play. Dance with me, make me sway. Like the lady ocean hugs the shore. Hold me close, baby. Like a flower bed.
One of my favorite songs, Howard.
Yeah, Sway is a great song. It really is.
It really, really is.
One of his best.
It truly, truly is. Love me.
Hey, by the way, what you talked about earlier, the
Yeah.
birding question in County, hard or soft roll?
I'm a soft roll guy.
Same here. I like the soft roll.
And in fact, in my old age, I've given up the roll completely. And I just, as they put it, would you just like the goodies? And I just do the cheese and the jalapeno and the carrot sticks and the salami. I have not been to Luigi's in a while. In fact, I might do that this weekend.
I tell people, we go get there early because you wait till last second, you gotta, especially for like a lunch hour when you're still working, you won't get in.
Well, Howard,
Go get there promptly like 11. Don't wait till the last second.
Well,
no, it's busy. It's real busy at lunch.
I know.
I mean, it's a good thing
For some.
Oh well,
but
the hoi polloi, the immediate lead,
Well, life is who you know, Howard. You know that. That's
didn't work for me.
That's exactly right. So what do you think of this page-and-a-half agreement that apparently the president's going to read on Friday?
Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the interesting side facts, if you notice, Pakistan basically helped close the deal. They booted him out as a negotiator because even in the words of our negotiators, they were being duplicitous. What they were essentially doing was undercutting the United States in favor of Iran behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we caught them at it, apparently. So that's why you notice Iran was not mentioned or thanked.
Yeah, true.
We thanked Pakistan. And then the worst thing about this is how can you, let's say U.S. and Mexico decide to have a treaty, and we're going to tell Canada what to do, but they don't get to be part of the negotiations. They don't get to see the agreement, and we tell them what to do.
Yeah.
And obviously we substitute Israel for that. And a country that they did a count. Since the ceasefire, the alleged ceasefire with Lebanon, they've had 2,000 rocket attacks from Hezbollah. And, Bibi can't. They can't. You can't have an active, hostile terrorist force on your border and just not do anything. And the hypocrisy for me in this, as much as I like Trump, was we have a helicopter shot at, not with no injuries, and we immediately retaliate. At the same time, we're telling Israel just sit it out.
Yeah.
Well, their existential idea is that we expect a small state surrounded by hostile countries and terrorists to sit and take it so we can cut a deal when we're not directly at risk. We have a long-term goal, but the short-term goal for Israel is their immediate survival.
Yeah.
And they're left out of the negotiations entirely. In fact, they formally asked to see the agreement, and they were denied.
Which is unheard of. Congressional leaders haven't seen it.
Czechoslovakia, 1938.
Yeah, what's the big secret? I don't understand. And we played the audio of the president saying that he's going to read it personally. Well, that won't take long.
No, not page now.
But I mean, what's the difference between today and Friday?
I don't know. The problem I have is you cannot trust the Iranians. That there is their entire makeup is duplicity. They've done it for 50 years. Their only goal is to survive and outweigh Trump. They're pretty savvy. They view the media. They see how much internal divisions we have. They think this idea about the midterms is going to pressure them, and I think actually it's working. Maybe not on Trump directly, but certainly within the administration and on the Republicans. Cut this deal, get the economy back, or we're going to lose the midterms. Well, the heck with that. If we're talking about a long-term threat for 47 years, we can lose a midterm or two. I mean, it's catastrophic in the short run, but if you're talking about an existential threat to us, in other words, a nuclear-armed terrorist state, which is more important?
Yeah.
You give them an agreement they can wiggle out of that already has known loopholes. Like you said, the Straits of Hormuz, there's talks about toll. This idea that we're going to rebuild Iran even indirectly. I saw the interview with J.D. Vance, and he did specifically state, we're not giving them $25 billion back. It's going to be down the road, pay for play. We're at least going to watch them for a while. I don't know how long that is. The $300 billion, if Gulf states want to fund Iran, that's up to them. hopefully we're not pressuring them into it. But if Oman and all these, Qatar and all these other states want to help, I'm not sure why they want to. If they want to do that, that's fine. And actually, the specific wording that the White House discussed was actually businesses investing. Because remember, Trump comes from a business background, and all he's looking at are various deals. I think you'd be insane to invest in Iran, personally.
Then we what?
You'd be insane to invest anything in Iran.
Okay, good.
As a business. As a business.
Thank you, Jesus.
Because what's to stop them from nationalizing you tomorrow?
Yep, absolutely.
No, I'm for Trump in most ways. I think this is a horrid deal. I think it's going to come out to be bad. I think just as they forced the Israelis into a ceasefire in Gaza, and you notice Hamas is still in power. They had them on the ropes. The Israelis have occupied 60% of Gaza, and Hamas is still there, killing their own citizens. They're still carrying terrorist attacks. Some Israelis were just killed over the weekend by Hamas RPG fired at them. That's still ongoing. It's just very low level intensity, and we're pretending nothing's going on there because we don't want to say, "Hey, this was a stupid idea," to give Hamas any breathing room and to hold the Israelis back. And I think it's going to be the same thing with Iran and Lebanon.
And these treaties, these agreements, aren't done in days. They're not done in weeks. I mean, you look back on it took like a year or two for them to put the JCPOA together. You can't just, you've got and it's because it's so complicated, and it's because we can't trust the Iranians that you have to have a complex contract where we go over every crossed T, every dotted I, because as you just implied or pretty much stated, they're going to look for every tiny loophole to violate this thing while still appearing to not violate it. So, I mean...
it's all at face.
Yeah. So to think that we can just throw something together, sign it on Friday, and everything is okay, that may be good for PR for the president because he needs an off-ramp badly. But what happens now that we're in close to September, 60 days from now, we're a month away or two from the midterms, and they say, go kick rocks after 60 days.
Start all over again.
Yes.
No, that's what I'm worried about, is that I think that's I personally think that's what's going to happen. And that's just I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
I do too.
I want Trump to succeed. I want the midterms to go well for the Republicans. I think it's going to be catastrophic if they lose the midterms. I think all the idiotic investigations that Trump had to go through in his first term will come back.
Oh, they'll impeach him. They'll impeach him.
Yeah, guaranteed. So I think that's a short-term catastrophic for the political process and civil debate in this country. However, if you're really worried about a terrorist state with nukes, that is all secondary. And I think you have to have an ironclad treaty without any way loopholes, and you cannot just give them back their stuff, their toys.
Yeah.
And that's suppose what they're saying, that this is going to be a 60-day memorandum of understanding, and it's a wait-and-see thing. But now that means we're pushing it into August before even a real treaty. Remember, this is just a memorandum.
Yeah.
They're signing off on.
Yeah.
This is not a treaty.
No.
So what happens if we get to the end of this thing? They say, "Oh, now we changed our mind."
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they'll do. Yep, I am too.
The Israelis aren't going to abide by this. They have no reason to. They can't.
No.
You cannot have Israeli civilians that are hiding in bomb shelters that have left their homes. They've basically depopulated northern Israel because of this. Their economy is incredibly disrupted. You cannot have them to endure this forever, hoping that Hezbollah somehow is reined in. And the fact that the Iranians are supposed to defund these guys or not fund them anymore, they've already got stocks of weapons already. They launched 2,000 missiles since April, and we've already disrupted their supply line. So those means how many they had in the ground. The pre-war estimates were 8,000 to 10,000 missiles. Hezbollah alone, not the Iranians. I think I'm very unfortunately cynical, and normally I'm not. I just don't think this is going to go well, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen.
If in fact they tell us to go kick rocks come August, September, is there any way possible he could start bombing again?
I have to. Otherwise, what do we do this? Otherwise, you lose even bigger because look, the Democrats are already harping on a wasted war. If you go back to the status quo and basically just back off and say, well, we did our job, let's go home, and allow them to rebuild, because Russia and China are going to fill the gap as quickly as possible.
Right.
And the difference is now, the little military things I always pay attention to. They didn't get a chance to deliver hypersonic anti-ship missiles from China yet. When the middle of the war disrupted that. And the fact that we're treating China, we're not treating them as a co-belligerent, which we should be, by the way, and allowing them to ship stuff there. It's like, why are we treating them so well? We should be interdicting every Chinese supply route into Iran, and why we are not. The idea that we supposedly, that Xi is somebody that Trump thinks he can do business with is another fallacy.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm very disappointed, and I think the big character flaw, people have flaws. Trump is all about the deal, the art of the deal. I think that goes above all else, even if they're flawed. So he can say something, he's made a deal. Well, the problem is a bad deal. I'd rather have no deal.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
I agree.
And, you rarely hear me criticizing Trump.
I'm shocked.
I'm very disappointed the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I really am.
Well, this is how I felt from the get-go. I have felt from the very beginning, while I agreed with what he was trying to do and showing great fortitude and finally doing something after 47 years, it just seemed to me that it was all haphazardly being done. That it was kind of
the mistake was stopping and negotiating.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
We didn't stop and negotiate with Japan with fire bombings of Tokyo. We didn't stop with Germany and Dresden. We didn't care about civilians at that point. We didn't care about infrastructure. We bombed the Ruhr dams. We took out all the industry in Japan. We firebombed cities. And, the negotiations were unconditional surrender.
Yeah.
That was our negotiating point. We start with that. And we didn't do that with Iran. And as soon as you let them get into a negotiating room and start giving them basically bribes to cut a deal with us, I think you've lost the overall mission.
Do you think
that's part of the problem?
Do you think Epic Fury brought them to the table? Because I don't.
I don't. I think the breaking point for me seemed to be when they threatened to bomb the power plants and the oil refineries, and it essentially completely deprived their income. And I think the blockade, more than anything else, really hurt them because, if you're a IRGC, soldier, and you haven't been paid in months, you're not going to get paid for months. At what point, and you have 300% inflation, and your family's hungry, and you have no money to pay them, and the money you do have is worthless.
And that $200 million
that has to come into play.
That $200 million a day ain't coming in anymore. That's a big hit, right. Jack. $200 million a day. That's a big hit.
90% of their income comes from that oil.
I agree with you 100%. And I would also throw in the threat of putting troops on Karg Island. Did you see that report?
That worked, I think.
Yeah,
I think that really did.
Absolutely. Did you see that report?
We should have done? Put the troops on Karg Island, and then we negotiate.
Do you see how close
we were doing?
Did you read how close we were to putting troops on Karg Island?
We have the Marine Expeditionary Force right there in the Gulf.
Ready to go.
Marines.
It was ready to go. And Trump damn near pulled the trigger.
We should have. I think we should have.
I think we should as well. I really do. Yeah. I think this.
You already got troops in harm's way because they're sailing around, and we have vessels in the area that are subject to mines, missiles, anti-ship missiles, everything else you can think of.
I've said that.
So they're already in harm's way.
Exactly.
Put them on the island.
Exactly.
Now it's going to be unfortunate, but I'm hoping it turns out. I think there's just too many things against it working. I really do. I mean, we don't negotiate. Trump has the best interests of the United States at heart. He's been an America First guy forever, and I think this was a threat that had to be addressed. You could not give the Iranians a nuke. Part of the problem is Europeans, as usual, stood back. France just announced they're ready to patrol the Straits of Hormuz with warships and anti-mines. Like, well, probably all waving white flags as they arrive. But that's the irony. The Europeans again let us take the heat, and then they're ready to step in when it's all done.
Right.
If we had the support from Europe to begin with, we had multinational forces in the Gulf, we had their minesweepers and all this, it could have been a very different picture and much more successful earlier.
So what's
and they did, a side note, this is something that occurred to me. I read about this. We did try to arm the Iranian civilians. We gave the weapons to the Kurds. They kept them.
Yeah, I did know that.
I heard that and went, oh my God.
We talked
to the Kurds. They're on their own.
Yeah, we talked about that when it went down.
Yeah, I was pretty upset.
Yeah. So what's the off-ramp, Howard?
Go ahead.
What's the off-ramp?
I don't know. I think they're going to try and use this treaty and say we won and go home, and I think that's a horrible mistake.
I think they are too. I really do. Yeah, I think they're going to say we've decimated their deal. The uranium is buried. Nobody can get it but us in China, and we'll dole this money out as they comply.
Right.
But I don't see a win. I really don't.
Well, what do we do if China comes in to help them get it out? We're not going to attack China.
No, we are not.
You're going to bomb Chinese technicians and workers that are working in the mines, opening them back up?
No, we are not. Just like we didn't bomb
Cuba. What I'm worried about is China's going to just step into another vacuum we've created for them. They're already actively mining in Afghanistan, extracting minerals. The whole thing out the Afghanistan debacle, we opened up, we had a little bit of trade on the Silk Road for the Chinese.
And they've been doing it for years in Africa as well.
Oh, yeah, in Africa, yeah.
Mhm.
We do this over and over and over again.
Unbelievable.
Very depressing.
It is. It's frightening. It really, truly is. Really, truly is. How's the health, Howard?
Not bad at the moment. Things
Yeah?
are going okay. Yeah, but you figure, you get a certain age, no news is good news.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. All right, sir. Stay cool. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you. What do you think about moving to? Well, I'll talk to you about that later. I don't even know why I brought that up.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
You call me out. You call me off the phone.
I will. I will. All right, man. Say hi to Mary for us.
All right.
Hi, buddy. We'll see you. Howard Marcus, former federal agent. Quick time out. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. We'll get into the back half of the hour. We'll talk more about the disrespect being shown to Michelle Obama. You will hear Alex Jones pile on, and you'll hear that Joan Rivers, I don't know what it was or what she was thinking. I mean, this is a woman who's had 2 children. What? The gynecologist is in on it? The hospital where Sasha and Malia were born are all in on it? This is all just a massive ruse so that Barack Obama could marry a man and try to run for president as a black man married to a man? Really? I mean, I can't even believe that I even responded to the idea that this woman is a man. It's all about race. But everybody tells me to be quiet, Ralph. Stop talking about race. It's not about race. It's not about race. Yeah, every first lady gets insulted like that. You're right. What am I talking about? Quick break. We're coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. And we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM
Adaptive.
RN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us tomorrow, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, the IT team that keeps us on the air. We've been in business with these guys for over a year now, as you should be as well. And they're going to come in here tomorrow and continue their tutorial for local business folks and give you some idea of some of the things that you need to know that you may not know about your own IT, just things that you should be looking for, like your IT company having to come out and solve the same problem over and over again. That's why we got in bed with the folks at Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 241-0638. This is a radio station. We can't have the same problem going over and over again. We can't have our IT team coming back time and time again. And when we do need that IT team, we need them immediately. We can't have them telling us, yeah, we'll be there next Tuesday. No, no, no. If you're serious about your business, you need to take your IT seriously. Tune in tomorrow at 3:30 when Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us from Adaptive Networks, the IT team that keeps us on the air.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need to get the job done. With fast delivery you can depend on and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show,
starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Why keep you in distress, baby? In the dark, oh, in the dark.
Is this beat similar to something you're familiar with?
Yeah, similar.
How can they do that? It was a good day. That's one of my favorite Cube songs, too.
Oh, it's my favorite Cube song.
Yeah, come back with that. Come back with Cube 45. That's one of my favorite Cube songs. But how can they steal the beat like that?
Oh, he probably paid for it. More
Okay.
back in the day like that, they didn't play. Like you pay for that or you getting sued.
Because isn't that what the Thick Boy got in trouble for?
Yes. Well, I don't know if he actually lost that.
Yes, he
Did
did.
lose that
Yes,
case?
he did. The
Oh, it was Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran won his.
yeah. What's Robin Thicke's kid's name?
It's Robin. Actually.
Oh, it is Robin.
Yeah.
You're right. Alan Thicke is the dad. My bad. Again, I got to tell my Alan Thicke story. I love the Alan Thicke story. So my buddy, Don Feinberg, who I played basketball with at the Brentwood School, became a big soap opera star. He was literally, it's America. He was going with a buddy to a cast call. He was sitting out in the hallway just waiting for his friend. And they said, "You're next." And he said, "Oh, I'm not here to read." He said, "Well, we like your look. We want you to read." And he got a job as a janitor on Days of Our Lives. No, he wasn't cleaning up the set. He was a janitor on the show. No, I lied. He was a gardener. He was a gardener because he literally, because Diamond is buffed at 63 years of age. He's still buffed. He was on the cover of Men's Magazine, just to give you some sense of what I'm talking about. Plus 6'2", great basketball player. He was a great forward. John Cates on one side, him on the other side, and Shumley in the middle, and me at point guard. Are you kidding me? We had a really good basketball team. Anyway, he's going out with Gloria Loring, who's Alan Thicke's ex-wife. And Alan Thicke, after he tried to challenge Johnny Carson at 11:30, was down on his luck and had to come live with Gloria. So Diamant's up in the bedroom with Gloria, and Thicke is down in the basement in the home that he purchased. And one night he got drunk and confronted Diamant in the kitchen. And Diamant was like, "I don't want to do this, Alan. Come on, sleeping with my wife." Diamant knocked him into next week.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
That's a true
In Washington,
Broke his
in-person
nose.
election day voting has concluded in
But he wasn't
Georgia
on
at
TV
7
yet. He hadn't
p.m.
got that
Eastern Time.
Father's gig yet.
Two Republicans are vying for
That
the
show,
Senate
whatever the hell
seat
it's
now
called.
held by Democrat John Ossoff. Mike Collins is facing off against Derek Dooley. In the governor's race, GOP candidates Burt Jones and Rick Jackson will vie for the nomination against Keisha Lance Bottoms, a Democrat. Soon, half of all American school kids will live in states that offer public money for a private education. Texas is the latest to join in, budgeting $1 billion to spend this fall on private school scholarships or homeschooling expenses. Next year, the federal government will start incentivizing private school scholarships in states that have never offered them before. On Wall Street, the Dow by 328 points. This is SRN News.
So many people have hired the wrong time.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. The names of 8 people killed in the crash at Edwards Air Force Base are not expected to be released until all of the families are notified, says the Air Force. Their investigators are still on the scene looking into the crash and why. That happened just before noon Monday upon takeoff on a training mission the Air Force calls routine. A life sentence plus 4 years was handed Cesar Vasquez Monday in the 2022 murder of security guard Odulio Rodriguez, who was 36 when he was murdered July 3rd, 2022 at the Gravity Tobacco Shop in Oildale, where he worked. Police say Vasquez admitted to holding up the shop and shooting Rodriguez several times, and it was also caught on video, which helped convict Vasquez in April. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No sports.
Carpet Outlet Plus installed over 1 million square feet of flooring last year alone. Over 20 years of Bakersfield's best flooring store means you can trust us with your hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and of course, carpet. Come in today to see over 100 waterproof floors from our in-stock inventory. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Step into the spotlight at the all-new and always thrilling Hard Rock Casino Tejon, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield. Play your favorites across over 2,000 slot machines, plus baccarat, blackjack, roulette, and craps. And with Unity, whatever you do, you get rewarded. Play here and redeem at other Hard Rock properties. Enjoy live entertainment, exceptional dining, and energy only Hard Rock can deliver. Hard Rock Casino Tejon. It all happens here. Must be 21 or older. Concerned about your gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Good day.
It's amazing how a couple of these guys, Mike Cube and Snoop, were smart enough to get away from that gangster approach and become more mainstream. And now look at them. I mean, they're universally beloved. And these guys, I don't think Cube was much of a banger, but Snoop was a flat out hood.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was a flat out hood, selling weed at Long Beach Poly. Sold weed to, I almost said Gwyneth Paltrow, not Gwyneth Paltrow. Something about Mary.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm just waiting for you to get it.
Cameron Diaz.
There it is.
She's the one, I love her.
She's great.
She is
Needs
incredible.
to be in more. I know she's taking a break, but
She makes a bad movie good.
Yeah.
Because What Happens in Vegas is a horrendous movie. But she and Kutcher, he's not bad at it either. I'm not a big Kutcher fan.
I like Ashton.
I like him, but was he on the 70s show?
Kelsey.
Never got into that.
Love that show. But
And I thought that 2.5 Men, which I'm a huge fan of.
He didn't do that show any justice.
No.
He really didn't help at all.
No. I can't even.
I just feel like that show died after Charlie Sheen left it, though. Like, once you take him out, it's not the same.
It's always like that.
Yeah.
It's always like that. It was the same thing with MASH. Even though it went on for years, it was never the same after Wayne Rogers left and after McLean Stevenson left. It was just never the same. You know, you're supposed to see the cast that you got used to. I mean, I watched it. I watched it. I'm telling you, we had one of the best. It ended my junior year in college, which goes to show you just how old I am.
Well,
and we put on one of the greatest parties of all time. What?
I was about to say, because Kutcher went through 2 of these types of shows, because that 70s show you could talk about in the same light too. Because
they lost people from it.
Well, the main kid, the kid that played Eric, Topher Grace. Topher Grace walked away from the show in the final season.
Lost on me.
Same difference. They replaced him with somebody else, and it wasn't the same.
Yeah. MASH ended on a Tuesday night, and Danny Gunn, the late Jake Daniel Gunn, who grew up right outside wherever they distilled Jack Daniels, and his mother would not let his father name him Jack Daniel Gunn, so he named him Jake Daniel Gunn, and that's all he drank. And as Frank Sinatra blames Joey Brown for him becoming a drunk, I blame Danny Gunn for making me a drunk, because we just had bourbon in the house all the freaking time. And I mean, we're pouring drinks for lunch on the weekends. It's noon, and we're watching, because football didn't start till 1 on the East Coast. You know, the first game is at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we're drinking bourbon at 12:30 in the afternoon on Sundays. And we put on the greatest party that to this day, is the greatest party ever. It was a MASH party. And I'm sorry for those who've heard this hundreds of times. And you had to wear either some type of medical gear or Army gear. So the lovely ladies of Spelman College opted to wear like a surgical shirt, like a dress, or an Army shirt, like a dress. And all we served was gin, because they drank martinis on MASH. So all we served was so-called martinis. It's just cold gin. And we put it in several different trash cans. And we ran out of glasses, obviously, and destroyed about half of the ones that we had. And we had little Dixie cups. And you just went in. And I'm telling you, I, to this day, have never been to a party where there was no one remotely sober. Like, no one remotely sober. I mean, we would fill the thing up with gin, and we would take 2 1.75s and fill the trash can with gin. And then we take about a quarter cup of vermouth and throw it in there and mix it up just to give it some kind of taste. Because, you know, you got girls, and they're not going to just drink cold gin. But they did, Jack. And it was crazy. And it ended up like a MASH episode. I know you're not going to believe it. I couldn't care less. I go into the bathroom, and I'm standing there, and I hear this movement. And I'm like, what? Did somebody leave a dog? I thought maybe somebody left a pet. I pull back the shower curtain. There's a dude passed out in our bathtub. And I have absolutely no idea who he is. And I go, Danny, come here, man. You're going to love this. And I brought in Danny, and he just started laughing. And I said, who is this? And he goes, that's Petey's boy. He's trying to pledge Alpha, because my roommate was an Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And he says, he's trying to pledge Alpha. He showed up late. I remember him coming in. But I'm telling you, it was one of the great parties of all time. Of all time. 842-5376, 842-KERN. So let me play this for you, just to show you how disgusting this, I don't know what to call it, this absolute disrespect for Michelle Obama. And if there's another reason other than that she's an African-American first lady, then express it to me. You know, you guys always bag on me that I'm always looking at race. Well, when I can eliminate it and there's no other subset other than the woman's race, then explain to me how she could be disrespected at the White House. And you know what Stephen Deutsch said when asked about this? That the kid from Wasco fought a good fight, and blah, 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 blah. There was no comment, no condemnation, it was kind of inappropriate, but it was a joke. I mean, maybe if they even tried to play it off, but no reaction at all. It took Dana White to step forward and say that this is unacceptable. and absolutely absurd. But listen to your boy, Alex Jones, who, well, it's Alex Jones. I don't think I have to say much more than that. He is who he
Do
is.
you want me to play it?
Oh, did I send it to you?
You did, yeah. That's why I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, my bad. Here is, and along with this comes the reference to Joan Rivers as well. Here's one of the craziest guys that's got a microphone in his face, Alex Jones.
Michael and I, nothing pisses him off more than us talking about this. Michelle Obama has the shoulders of a linebacker. If you look at early photos of him with Obama, it's a man. Have you seen them come out of Harvard or whatever school they put their daughters in? The supposed daughters that look nothing like Obama or nothing like Big Mike that reportedly are adopted from another family. The point is, it's the Truman Show. And Michelle Obama walks out, they get in the car, she comes downstairs, he comes downstairs, and it looks like a giant rubber snake is in her pants. Okay, and you can see it bouncing up and down. You can see the testicles right through the pants, bouncing around bigger than Dallas, okay? Everybody knows what a man looks like adjusting their junk, okay? And that's a man adjusting it, and it's bouncing, man. It's bouncing. I mean, that is it right there. That didn't tape it back that day. That is a ding-dong. That is testicles. I mean, that is a fact. I mean, it's just bouncing around. I mean, give me a break, man. Michelle Obama has got an anaconda in his pants. That's probably flaccid, 6 inches in the pants. Probably got a 1.5 foot long penis there. That's Big Mike could star in major porn movies here. It's all part of the joke on us. It's all part of them spiking the football on us. Since you mentioned Joan Rivers, she died about a month after she said this. Here it is.
Do you guys get to see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We call them.
I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy's walking around with a giant ding-a-ling, bouncing around, and we're looking at the damn thing.
What he did, what you can't see, is he took some audio of her coming out in a silk outfit. And if you've ever worn silk, or hell, I had on linen pants. And guys know this for a fact, that if you sit in a certain way, the crotch of your pants will lift up. And it looks like you have an erection. There are ways that your pants can move, particularly in different patterns like silk. And what is amazing is I'm actually standing up defending the fact that Michelle Obama doesn't have a penis. Alex Jones has a microphone. And how that is, I just don't know. And of course, the Obamas are never going to recognize this nonsense because I think they should sue. They should spend the rest of their lives trying to sue this man for defamation. That she's got a 6-inch anaconda in her pants. If it weren't so disrespectful, it would be funny. And that's what leads to these idiots that come out of Wasco and get to the White House. Here's your one opportunity at national attention. And he calls a former first lady a man. And the president smirks. And the White House communications department says nothing. And we have to rely on Dana White to be the adult in the room and to say the obvious, that this is absurd, this is ridiculous, and this should never, ever happen on the grounds of the White House. And it just goes to show you where this administration is. There's a great video when George Bush is leaving the White House. He'd been gone for about 4 months, and it took that long to put up his portrait. I'll play this for you. Maybe later on the show, I'll go look for it. And he tells the story about the White House being burnt down in 1812 during the Madison administration, and how at the last minute before they went running for their lives, Dolly Madison ran back into the White House and grabbed the portrait that still exists and hangs in the White House of George Washington. And George Bush jokingly said, "Now, Michelle, if anything should happen in the next 8 years, that's your guy." And he was pointing to the painting that they were unveiling of him. And then he made another joke to Obama. And I feel comfortable, Mr. President, that in these days when you're walking the halls trying to figure out what should you do in a certain situation, that you could look at this painting and say to yourself, I wonder what George would do. And they all laughed, Republican and Democrat. And that was just several years ago. And now here we are in the 21st century, in 2026, and we've got a character in the White House who can't even say the obvious, can't even be the master of the obvious and just say, that was tacky, gauche, uncalled for, stupid, and undignified to occur at the White House. Can't even do that. But what do you expect from a man who reveled in another man's death, who claimed that a man that was shot down during Vietnam wasn't a hero because he prefers his heroes not to get shot down? How are your bone spurs, Donald? I'm sorry. If the man ran again, I'd vote for him because the Democratic lineup is just unacceptable. But at what point are we as Republicans going to stand up and say that this man's behavior is unacceptable? Are we really going to sink so low that just about anything is open? Why do you think the Democrats can jump in bed with a Nazi and it's okay? Well, because the sitting president once said on a bus with Billy Bush, I can't even tell you what he said. And you all know that he said it because you heard him. It was recorded. So the character issue no longer exists in America, where it's impossible for us as a Republican to stop a Nazi from walking into the United States Senate. And why is that? Because one guy took the rule book and threw it out the window. One guy said, decorum doesn't matter. And everybody fell in line with him. You can bag on Robert Mueller and say, I'm glad he's dead. Things that we wouldn't say out loud about our worst enemies. Where do we go from here if we don't stand up and demand that there be some level of decorum, some level of decency? Can't we agree to disagree? I have told you for years, the greatest compliment that I got it in my Uber last night. I don't agree with you, Ralph. In fact, I rarely agree with you, Ralph, but I listen every day. Can't we agree to disagree? Can't we just treat each other decently the way we want to be treated? I don't understand. I really don't. I really, really don't. And I guess I never will. Let's go. Take a quick time out, come right back. We'll check the board. I'll tell you the story of Floyd Mayweather. One time, the king of boxing, and now he's just a deadbeat who I think is going to go to jail. As well he should. This is ridiculous what he's doing. And J.D. Vance was on The View, not that I saw it, but we've got some excerpts or an excerpt. J.D. Vance is a wily cat. Not Wile E. Coyote, but Wily Cat. And I get a sense that he is subtly kind of moving away from Trump. Remember, he's on record as saying, I'm against Epic Fury. I don't think we should do this. And now, wait till you hear what he had to say to the ladies of The View this morning. Quick time out. Coming right back. It's TRBS on a Tuesday. Right here on Newstalk 96.1. And we're efforting an interview with David Couch. I'll contact him during the break and see if he's going to get to us in the 5. Right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio.
Casey?
1 and AM 1230. KERN. First Look with Scott Cox. Morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I had the funniest time at KC Steakhouse last night. I went up there and ordered the Ralph Bailey. And you really can just say that. The ladies know exactly what you're ordering. It's a chicken breast that's smothered in a mushroom spinach cream sauce. I even got the baked potato. Screw my A1C. And some vegetables, a little cauliflower, a little broccoli on the side. But it came out flat. Normally it's kind of a big fat protruding breast. And this was flat. And I was like, this isn't what I ordered, Liz. What is this, chicken fried steak? Did they fry this thing? And she went in the back and she said, is this what Ralph orders? And I heard the Louise say, yes, this is what Ralph orders. And she brought it back out. And I said, okay. It was the best chicken breast I've ever had. It was flattened, but I swear, I was just telling Chris Burke, it was the best chicken breast I ever had. Why am I bringing this point up? Because again, as I always talk about, not everybody's feeling red meat when you go for big parties or anniversaries, etc. Well, you don't have to. Chef Daniel has expanded the menu. Ask for the Ralph Bailey. Try some of the fish, the halibut, the mahi-mahi, the swordfish. There's the lobster mac and cheese. Are you kidding me? Great menu that Chef Daniel's put together for those that may not be feeling red meat, but still want to experience KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, this is Terry Maxwell. One thing I've never enjoyed is painting. It takes time, patience, and real skill to do it right. That's why when it comes to painting my home or business, I trust the professionals at Howling Painting. Howling Painting is family-owned and operated right here in Kern County and has proudly served our community since 1978. They were even voted Best of Bakersfield, Best Painting Company in 2025 and 2026. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, Howling Painting delivers top-quality work at competitive prices. Their team is dedicated to exceptional service and results that exceed expectations. And they don't consider the job finished until you're completely satisfied. Plus, they're fully licensed and insured, so you can feel confident your property is in good hands from the start to the finish. Get a free, no-obligation consultation today at Howling Painting. That's HALLING.com or call 872-0988. Howling Painting, quality works you can trust.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And what's going on? Never saw Marvin Gaye in concert. Would have liked that. Wasn't a big concert kid. I can count on maybe 2 hands the amount of concerts I've been to, but I've been to some classics. Can I count the Grateful Dead?
Yeah.
In as much as that I Didn't see any of the show.
I guess not. Yeah, no, never mind.
Kind of mistimed my drugs. I swear to God, I think we were drinking Bloomsbury Farm wine. 17 years old. Stupid. Who you got?
John.
John, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Ralph, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm happy, thank you.
Good.
So, a couple quick things because time is short, but I played the golf course in Porterville, the River Run Country Club. You need to go there.
Is it new or is it the old course?
It's been there for a very long time. It's by Lake Success, I think it is.
Is it the course we have to cross the street?
Yes, it goes under the street.
Right, yeah. No, I played there. I used to play in their the Eagle Mountain Golf Tournament every year.
Hey, it's in pristine shape and it's 10 degrees cooler there.
Ooh, that's enticing. I love that track too. I play well at that course.
It was a great time, and then we played one in Pomona by the Fairplex, and it's a fantastic one. You hit off a lot of hills.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I can three putt everywhere. So I wanted to comment, and I'll pre-qualify this because you're a man of decorum. You're well spoken. I consider myself to be a person of decorum, but somebody said a while back, our politicians are a reflection of us.
Yeah.
And we really need to take a look at ourselves and the way we treat each other.
I
and
agree.
the way that we act. I mean, it used to be it used to be very gentlemanly. They would say my friend on the opposite side of the aisle. They still do, but it's more sarcastically now.
Yep, I agree.
But the way that they're treating each other, it harkens back historically to the way that the two sides treated each other back in the 1850s and 60s.
Yeah.
And I really fear that we're moving in a direction that will not benefit our country at all, because we're moving into a point of no return when it comes to the way we treat each other, and therefore the folks out on the street treat each other.
I agree.
I mean, in the 1700s, they called each other drunkards. I guess that was like the F word or something back then.
And they talked about each other's wives and.
Oh, they take the cane to each other. Man,
yes, they did. Andrew Jackson was famous for that. You're absolutely right. And they still had duels in the 19th century.
They did. Two wrongs don't make a right. But I have to listen to that song by the Youngbloods. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, love one another right now. Just a hope.
Yeah, that's nice.
Keep the faith, Ralph.
All right, John. That was a great phone call, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, take care. He's absolutely right. How many times have you been to a Dodger game and not seen a fight? They had one on opening day. Bar fights, kids fighting at track meets. He's right. It's a mirror of who we are. Quick timeout. We head into the 5. I would stick around if I you.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
From Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Iran's top diplomat says the tentative deal to end the war with the United States would require Israel to withdraw from Lebanon, a condition Israel has already rejected, and that could sink the agreement. President Trump appeared frustrated with the Israelis. Mr. Trump says Israel needs the U.S. and voiced his displeasure with the Israeli Prime Minister.
Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon.
While Israel is not part of the agreement, it's part of the war after joining the U.S. in launching strikes on Iran on February 28th. Israel has also fought the Iran-backed Hezbollah militant group in Lebanon and seized large swaths of that country. More oversight duties are being moved out of the Department of Education.
The Trump administration is moving oversight of special education and civil rights out of the Education Department and to other agencies. The Department of Justice will handle enforcement of civil rights, while the Department of Health and Human Services will oversee special education. The Department of Justice will also take over work protecting student privacy. Trump campaigned on shutting down the Education Department and moving education back to the states. Legally, only Congress can close the education department. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Runoff day in Georgia. Two Republicans, Mike Collins and Derek Dooley, are vying for the Senate seat now held by Democrat John Ossoff. In the governor's race, GOP candidates Burt Jones and Rick Jackson will vie for the nomination against Keisha Lance Bottoms, a Democrat. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Advantage Gold, America's #1 precious metals company, is sounding the alarm that a storm is coming and that now is the time to diversify your portfolio before it's too late. That's why we're offering an emergency gold and silver protection kit valued at $49, absolutely free for anyone who calls today at 800-900-8000. This kit includes critical information for investors with a retirement account seeking to own physical gold and silver, but want to do it tax and penalty free. Advantage Gold has helped investors protect and secure their wealth with physical gold and silver since 2014. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 and we'll rush your emergency gold and silver kit plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. See how gold and silver can help you protect and secure your wealth with the help of Advantage Gold. Results vary. Consult your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Pizza Hut's parent company is...
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
The names will be made public. I'm Chris Davis, but that will not happen until all of the next of kin have been notified, says the Air Force. Those are the names of the people killed in the crash that happened Monday just before noon at Edwards Air Force Base when a B-52 was taking off on a test run. The Air Force called the test routine, and they still have not determined what was responsible for the crash, and that may take a while. The reason Kern County is suing the city of Bakersfield, it's the sewer rate increases that the county calls unprecedented. But the county's lawyers also call the increases unconstitutional, saying they violate state law by including stormwater costs. The county says in a press release about the lawsuit that they have tried to work collaboratively with the city on other possible solutions and that they believe the suit is necessary to provide relief for the ratepayers. A man who was riding a motorcycle this morning in the Frazier Park area was killed when he was hit from behind by an SUV. The Highway Patrol says the man on the bike was knocked into the air and hit the SUV's windshield. That happened just after 6 a.m. on Frazier Mountain Park Road. The Highway Patrol says the 27-year-old driver of the SUV stayed and cooperated, and they do not believe he was impaired, but they do not know yet about the man who was killed. Homes in the Stevenson Ranch neighborhood near Santa Clarita were in danger from a fire there, which started as a brush fire Monday afternoon and quickly spread, burning more than 30 acres. The flames and smoke could be seen near several houses near Magnolia Lane and Autumn Place, according to the Los Angeles County Fire Department. No one was reported hurt in the fire, and the cause has not yet been determined, but it started in a hiking area. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest of all in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late, they start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make them an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 16th day of June. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. We are hoping to hear from Supervisor David Couch. He is on a, what do they call those things? Something call?
Collect call?
Collect call?
Not collect call, I apologize. A community call, but...
I don't know. I can't remember either. I love it when you can't get it right. So this, at least it's not old age. It's just bad memory. Conference call.
Conference call.
He's on a conference call.
See.
He's on a conference call. And so if we hear from him, we hear from him. Somebody in the chat room said that's the only reason they tuned in today was for David Couch. Well, then turn the radio, because it doesn't look like we're going to have him. So turn the radio. See, it's that kind of decorum that we're just talking about. Like, that guy didn't have to say that. It's the only reason I tuned in. Really? Really? Because I didn't promote the fact that David Couch was coming on the show, which would mean you have already been tuned in to hear that David Couch is coming on the show. But I'm sure you're screaming at your radio, well, I was about to cut out, but I heard Couch was coming on, so that's why I've hung on. It's just, let me tell you something. You'd be better off talking about my mama than trying to hurt my feelings through the ratings or my show or what you think of me as a host. Do you understand that I've been doing this almost as long as Chris has been alive? That by myself, I've been doing it for 22 years. And then when I counted my time as the news director at Clear Channel Radio, hosting the Chris and Ralph show, my first, well, not my real first foray, my first foray into radio actually was while I was at Morehouse. I had forgotten about that. I hosted a public affairs show that aired, what time do you think it aired, Chris Burdick?
6 a.m.
That's exactly right. Have I told this story before?
I believe so, but
it aired on Sundays at 6 a.m. And I would literally call my girlfriend at 5:59. Rhonda, what? Get up. I'm on in like 2 minutes. All right, well, I'll get up in 2 minutes. Leave me alone. Nobody respects a brother's talent. And the claim to fame was I got to interview Ray Charles. That was my big claim to fame. Not that anybody heard it at 6 o'clock. Although in Atlanta, in the South, early morning church shows are pretty damn popular. We were followed by this church show at 6:30 and then a choir at 7. And I did it from the basement of a church in Atlanta. It was crazy. And I thought I was Larry King. Thought I was Rush Limbaugh. Thought it was the greatest show that I ever did. But when you add up my time with the Chris and Ralph show and as a news director, I've been doing this for 26 years. And I am thin-skinned, I'll be honest, but not about this show. I'm on the 15th, 16th hole of my career. The days of me getting upset about this broadcast are in my rear view mirror. You can say whatever the hell you want, because I'm about to do 3, 4, maybe 5 more years, and I'm off to BCC. You know what I'm saying? I haven't looked at the ratings in years. I've learned to not be able to react to the stupid, petty, mean-spirited comments that I get in the chat room or Chris gets in the message room. You'd be better off just talk. If you really want to hurt my feelings, talk about my mama. But I wouldn't do that because I might do something stupid and find your ass. Anyway, 842-5376, 842-KERN. So our boy Floyd Mayweather has a problem. I said, our boy Floyd Mayweather has a problem.
What is that problem?
Funny you should ask, Chris. Don't like paying his bills. He does not like paying his bills. And he's now on the hook. This is his latest, what do you call that? Not forgery, but non-compliance. I don't know. Deadbeat daddy is what I call it. I want to get this right. So let me just read this out of ESPN. Boxer Floyd Mayweather is facing 2 felony charges alleging theft and, that's what it's called, intent to defraud. That's what it's called. Intent to defraud an innkeeper by passing a bad check to purchase a watch. How much you think this watch is worth, Mr. Burdick?
$15K?
I'm giving him the low side because Chris always blows the bit. I'll say, take a guess. He'll say $1 million. It's only 500,000. So I was giving him the keep it
Well,
low.
it's money Mayweather.
Keep it
Anything
low.
could be $1 million.
You're right. 200 grand. He wrote a check for $200,000. My question is, who'd be stupid enough to take a check from Floyd Mayweather? You'll hear why in just a second. Please stand by. Mayweather was not present for a Clark County court hearing Monday and was instead represented by his counsel. Mayweather's official charges are theft, value $100,000 or greater, draw or pass check with intent to defraud, value $1,200 or greater. Clark County prosecutors filed an initial criminal complaint, according to court records. Following the days later, blah, 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 we don't care about that. The complaint alleges Mayweather wrote a $200,000 check from a Wells Fargo bank account to Gold and Beyond. Gold and Beyond. A high-end Las Vegas resale boutique on December 31st, 2024. The complaint alleges Mayweather wrote the check when he, quote, had insufficient money, property, or credit in the account to pay it in full. The theft charge claims Mayweather wrote the check, quote, in exchange for obtaining property or services while knowing that the check would not be paid when presented. The complaint alleges Mayweather did this, quote, knowingly, feloniously, and without lawful authority. In other words, he knew damn well there wasn't 200 grand in his bank account. And he wrote it anyway. And he passed it anyway. That's why, if you were with us at the top of the show, I said, I think they're going to make an example out of him. Because that's theft. I mean, you know, if you got 200 grand in the bank. I've never experienced that, so I wouldn't know. But if I wrote a check for $5 grand, I know whether or not I've got $5 grand in the bank. There are times when I do, there are times when I don't. And you better believe I know when I do. Just saying. So this is theft. This is nothing more than theft. The proprietor said that he waited a year before he went to the cops, assuming that this guy had the dough and they just needed to be patient, work with the guy. And, you know, he did the okey doke with the guy. Oh, yeah, next week, I'll have it Tuesday, and did what I think the Iranians are doing to us. And then finally, after a year, this guy went to the cops. However, this isn't the first time, as you can well imagine, that Floyd Mayweather hasn't paid his debt. Plaintiffs in separate civil cases in at least 4 states allege Mayweather owes them money. The Internal Revenue Service has a tax lien of more than $7.2 million levied against Mayweather for unpaid taxes in 2018 and 2023. They're going to make an example out of this, brother. As I've told you, my father experienced that. They will follow you to your grave, literally. Literally. Las Vegas area gated community filed a separate lien of over $22,500. He doesn't pay his rent. He doesn't pay his rent. The IRS declined comment about Mayweather's lien, saying the agency cannot discuss or release tax information. Mayweather is also the plaintiff in separate suits he brought earlier this year against Showtime for $340 million and former business associates for $175 million. Mayweather alleges fraud and, quote, aiding and abetting breach of fiduciary duty in both civil cases. He's scheduled to fight kickboxer Mike Zambinas. You heard of this guy?
The guy he's fighting? Not really.
In an exhibition on June 27th in Athens, Greece. So if you were wondering, why is this guy coming out of retirement at his age? He needs the dough. He flat out needs the dough. They're going to let him go to Greece, apparently. There was a threat that his passport could be revoked by the IRS, but his tax attorneys have been working with the federal agency and will be able to go to Greece for the fight, and then return. How is that possible? How is that possible? How can you not learn from so many different athletes that end up broke as a joke? Tyson was broke. Tyson had blown hundreds of millions of dollars. I think he's revamped himself and kind of reinvented himself and has got a decent lifestyle. But I mean, he should be living anywhere he wants. He should have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. Hell, everybody that worked with him, for him, and around him are millionaires. Don King is going to go to his grave damn near a billionaire. And these guys are the ones that get in there and suffer and get beat up, and yet 9 times out of 10, they end up broke. Larry Holmes, broke. It's insane to me. It's insane. As alluring as that lifestyle would be, you would think at some point you would hire somebody you could trust who would look out for you. Namely family, because that's about it. And family oftentimes will turn their back on you as well. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Get you caught up on Brendan Sorsby, what he plans to do. Well, he's going back to Texas Tech. Despite his 9,000 bets, $90,000 spent gambling on his own team, many of the bets, when he was in Indiana with Mendoza.
Mendoza was not there at the time.
That's not what I read. It was Mendoza's freshman. He was a freshman, and Mendoza was just there or coming in or something. That's what I read.
Mendoza was only there for a year. He was at Cal before that.
Well, that's what I read. It was Mendoza's freshman year when he was there.
This kid played at Cincinnati last year.
Okay. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. It's TRBS. Right here on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1230. You are streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Kern Radio.
Messmaker? Or you want me to play it? Yeah, play it.
30 KERN. First Look with Scott Cox. Morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Every Thursday at 4:30, Daniel Petrie lightens up the broadcast with his incredible wit, pure intelligence, political knowledge, and obviously an absolute master of economics. That's why he's such an important cog on this broadcast. And you can hear him even on some of his off days when there are financial movements that we can't explain. We lean on my man from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. And of course, you know what they're all about. They're all about retirement. I've turned at least 3 or 4 different people on to Messmaker Petrie Wealth Advisors, and they could not be happier. You could be happy as well with your situation in terms of the fourth quarter in your life if you call 395-9400, 395-9400, the offices of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
And we're back.
Yes,
Rob and Bob are back on the airwaves.
Rob and Bob, that's right. Well, not technically. Some contracts have taken longer than we thought.
We're fighting with the man a little bit, but California Fruit Depot still wants us to tell you that the lemons are free.
Yep.
The oranges are ripe.
Free lemons.
Local nuts.
Did I mention free parking?
Smoothies.
What about the big giveaway?
An incredible staff. Yes, the big giveaway. Let's announce this right now for the first time ever.
Yes. Free tank of gas to anyone who shops at Cal Fruit Depot. Some restrictions apply.
You must spend $10,000 on the same purchase.
That's like 1 tank of gas anyway.
And get a free tank of gas. I will follow you to the gas station, top it off,
it's
maximum
a $5 gift card.
Maximum 5 gallons. So if you have a motorcycle,
Yeah.
this could work out great for you. Think about that cost per mile. That's not bad.
Only from Cal Fruit Depot.
And that's $10,000 worth of pistachios or $10,000 worth of oranges.
Spread
Think
them
about
around.
it. CalFruitDepot.com. $10,000 offer has many restrictions. Please see our website for no details. Bye.
Looking to refresh your home Business with a clean, professional new look? Trust the experienced team at Halling Painting. Family owned and operated in Kern County since 1978, Halling Painting has built a reputation for quality workmanship, dependable service, and attention to detail. From residential to commercial projects, interior or exterior painting, their team is committed to delivering beautiful results at competitive prices. Named Best of Bakersfield's Best Painting Company in both 2025 and 2026, Halling Painting takes pride in making sure every customer is completely satisfied before the job is done. And with a fully licensed and insured team, you can feel confident knowing your property is in trusted hands. Call Halling Painting today at 872-0988 or visit hallingpainting.com to schedule your free no-obligation consultation. Call Halling Painting today at 872-0988 or visit hallingpainting.com. Halling Painting, quality you can see, service you can trust.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERS.
Have you guys seen the video of this Pasadena police officer who gets shot by a fellow cop? Everybody has cams on their cars now, so everything is videoed. And it looks like they're in the parking lot of the Pasadena police station, and they're screwing around, pointing guns at each other, and one of them apparently fires and hits another cop in the arm. They've obviously all been suspended. Let me just read. More officers with Pasadena Police Department have been placed on administrative leave following a, quote, horseplay incident, end quote, in which an officer was shot by a fellow cop, Chief Gene Harris said. More on the link. Unbelievable. That's about as bonehead as it gets. How do you accidentally shoot somebody? I thought even the most novice gun owner like me knows that the only time you point a gun at somebody is when you need to shoot them. Period. End of sentence. Has JR talked about his situation at his house? I'm telling you, I would have shot those guys. It'll be interesting if we can get Teresa Golden on the phone, or if we have to get a replacement for the next couple of weeks. But would I be justified? JR is having problems with his wife. Is he back in the house yet?
Yes, technically.
Yeah. Where he had a water leak and they've been taking care of it for like the last, seems like a month. And one night he went in just to check in, on his apartment, and two of the workers were sleeping in his bed. I wouldn't have shot him, but I would have grabbed my Glock and held him at gunpoint till the cops got there. I sure would have. I would have said, step into this closet, and you're going to sit in this closet until the cops get here. Or I will shoot you. Because I think I could get justified for that, particularly at my age. Maybe not JR at 45. Maybe he could have fought him off. I'm an old man. I can't be rolling on the ground with some 35-year-old construction kid. Shoot him right in the thigh. 842-5376, 842-KER. Anything?
Mayweather has no money. Who's paying for his lawyer and legal counsel?
Who knows? I mean, there's the promise of money because he's got a fight coming up. So, lawyers, they'll work on the promise that they get a piece of the pie. I bet before he signed that contract, I bet it's written in there that at least 10% goes to his attorney. Because who in the world would do business with this guy on a handshake or trust? This guy's a nightmare. God, I always knew it. Can't you just tell some people just ain't right? I could just always tell. And it wasn't the bravado. I don't mind that. I don't mind the trash talking. I don't mind you declaring the truth, whatever. But there was just something always wrong about this guy. I don't know. What else you got?
The last caller nailed it. There is very little respect in society today. As a teacher, I see it even in our kids. I have been called every name in the book by a child.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest example of it. Is the fact that I've talked to teachers, and that's why I could not be a teacher. I really couldn't. Not on a grade school level. Nope. And what has changed, because that's nothing new. You know, I mean, I was watching To Sir with Love, which is a film about Sidney Poitier coming into a troubled school. You know, kids acting a fool ain't nothing new. What is new is the parents siding with the child. That's new. Because in my day, it didn't matter what you did, you were in the wrong. If my parents had to come to the school to respond to something that I did, even if they thought I was in the right, they would side with the teachers. And then, because there was a time where there was a situation and I got involved, but I was trying to break it up, but I got piled into it. And even the kid that was in the fight admitted that Ralph was trying to break it up, but the school wouldn't hear it and they wanted to suspend me. And my parents fought for me and finally said, why don't you talk to the kids that were involved and ask them what Ralph's involvement was? That's all we ask you do. And if those kids say Ralph was involved, fine. And they did, and I did not get suspended. I've never, ever been suspended or expelled from school. Came damn close. Refusing to write my senior thesis. They threatened to not allow me to appear at graduation, nor would I receive my degree had I not spent a week doing my senior thesis. I thought it was a bold, brash move. I've been accepted to Morehouse College. You know, technically, I could have done it. Because what was Morehouse going to do? Renege on my acceptance just because I didn't have a high school degree? I guess technically, yeah.
They probably could.
Can you get a college degree without a high school degree? I don't think so. I think you have to have a GED or...
Yeah, I was like, I think you need a GED at least.
But that's to get accepted. I had been accepted in January. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Harriet and Ralph were not going to let me roll the dice. It was a tough week, man. All my friends were free. They didn't have to go to class. They're running around getting their yearbook signed. All the underclassmen are taking finals. And I'm in our library doing my senior thesis with Val Mickish. Quick time out, last half hour of the broadcast. I would stick around if I you.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Is in Washington in the runoff elections in Georgia tonight. Congressman Mike Collins holds a lead over challenger Derek Dooley for the Republican nomination for Senate. The winner of that runoff will face incumbent Democratic Senator John Ossoff in the November election. In the governor's race, Rick Jackson is leading Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones for the GOP nomination to challenge the Democratic candidate Keisha Lance Bottoms. Soon, half of all American school kids who live in states that offer public money for a private education. Texas is the latest to join in, budgeting $1 billion to spend this fall on private school scholarships or homeschooling expenses. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 328 points. The Nasdaq dropped 307. More details at srnnews.com.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. At Edwards Air Force Base today, the base and the Air Force are still looking into the cause of yesterday's fatal crash of a B-52 in which 8 people were killed. The names of the victims are not expected to be released until all family members have been notified. A man riding a motorcycle was killed this morning in the Fraser Park area around 6 a.m. when an SUV hit him from behind, knocking him into the air. He hit the windshield of the SUV. When he came down, the driver of the SUV stayed and cooperated. Kern County and its attorneys are suing the city of Bakersfield over the sewer rate increases approved by the Bakersfield City Council. The county says they believe the increases go against state law, and the suit is to provide relief for residents who will be paying the increases. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Did you really think Pure Talk was just going to sit back and watch America turn 250 years old without doing something awesome to celebrate? Of course not. That's why they're raising $250,000 for America's Warrior Partnership by the end of July. America's Warrior Partnership is on the front line of preventing veteran suicide. They've had extraordinary success, and here's how you can help. When you switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk this month, you'll be invited to round up to support America's Warrior Partnership. No pressure, but if you do, Pure Talk will match your donation dollar for dollar. And to further celebrate 250 years of our extraordinary democratic republic, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. That's pound 250, say Mike Rowe. And happy birthday to us.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. John Cox from the California will join us to administer the news quiz, and we'll back all of that up with state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. With burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and local service, our promise to the Central Valley remains the same. We got it. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I apologize for eating on the air, but if I didn't, I was about to pass out.
Uh-oh.
I didn't eat today. I totally forgot.
That's not smart.
I was on the phone with my mom. And then I was on the phone with Thaddeus. And then it reminded me to call my uncle. Anytime I talk to my uncle, that's a 30-minute phone call. And I did not eat. And I got about halfway through that last rant. I swear I felt like I was going to pass out. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm not going to make it to Lawson's. Today's rib day, though. Ribs and macaroni and cheese.
How much you want it?
Well, let me see if I can get back up on my feet. I really was like low blood sugar feeling, like the way I feel sometimes when it's 100 degrees. I had a minor episode Sunday with Sam.
Ooh.
Where I just get lightheaded. Only one. Where I reach down to get the ball and get lightheaded and like, ooh, gotta hang on a second. Played my behind off though, Jack. Those last 2 holes. It's funny how easy golf is if you can hit the green in regulation. Isn't that funny? I had 2 tap-in pars on 17 because I should have made the birdie on 17. It was about 10 feet straight up the hill. Just a little break to it, and I read too much break in it and lipped it out with the right lip. And then on 18, that was fun. That was so much fun. So Sam outdrives me. Our boss's son is a really good golfer. He's about a 10 handicap, maybe a 9. And he hits it 300 yards, literally, which means there are some holes where he literally outdrives me by like 70 yards. So I've hit my shot on 18. I hit the best little 5-wood. I'm within like 8 feet. And I grab my putter and I'm walking to the green. Sam hasn't even gotten to his ball yet, literally. And as I'm walking to the green, I just hear this, "Oh, that's good, Ralph. That's good." And I'm thinking, ain't as good as mine. And damn if he doesn't almost hole it. He missed the hole by about 6 inches, but it wouldn't check for him. So he had about a 10-foot putt. I had about an 8-foot putt. And we both missed it. But I popped at that hole. So I tied the match. He had me dormy with 2 to play. He made bogey on 17. I made par. And I made par on 18 as he did, but I popped and I won the hole. Saved me $5. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Yeah, I can make it. That little Capri Sun. By the way, can I confess? I stole somebody's Capri Sun. I'm going to put a note on the deal. But I mean, if I didn't get something to drink, I really was afraid I was going to pass out. So I'm going to put a note. Because whose could it be? It's not JR's.
Snacks.
Oh, it is Snacks.
It's probably Snacks.
Because
But he's still here. You can probably tell.
It's not Jay Reed. Randissel's gone until September. That guy. And he's still got like 300 days of vacation left. He's been gone for 2 weeks. He's on a boat with the kids and the family. That's a family man. When they go on those things, do the families have separate cabins?
Ooh.
Or do they all how does that work, y'all? When you take your kids on a cruise, are y'all in one big cabin or 2 small cabins? Because my one experience on a cruise ship was a cabinet about the size of my closet. I mean, they're tiny. But I mean, Randy's a true family man. To get on a boat with your 2 kids, just have them up under you. I mean, I know you all love your kids, and I know it's probably out of line for you to talk about this because I don't have any kids. But I helped raise my nephews, and I've been around kids, and I know as much as you can't say it out loud, but nobody wants to be up and down with their kids all day for 5 days. You know what I'm saying? Even though the days are filled at the pool and all the activities they have on board. I get it. But at some point, don't you just want to throw the kids off the boat? Don't you just want to just give mommy and daddy a day. We'll come get you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What else you got?
On Dan Bongino's podcast this morning, he said the fighter Josh Hokett is well known for making outlandish comments after his fights.
Okay,
right.
Exactly. That doesn't excuse it. And of all places, the White House? What a huge moment it would have been. Think about this for just a second. Not that any Democrat would have liked him anymore, or the media would get off his back. But what a moment if Trump had jumped into the ring and said, "I like Josh, he's a great athlete, but I can't stand here and allow him to besmirch a former first lady of this great country in the very place that she lived for 8 years raising her children." That was uncalled for. It was out of line. And we're not going to accept that type of behavior at the White House. He'd have got a standing ovation, even by those who laughed at the assertion that Michelle Obama is a man. He would have got a standing ovation. The media would not have known how to handle it because they would have had to compliment the president. And maybe it draws us a little closer to that day when there's actual decorum again. But John and the teacher are exactly right. It's embedded in our kids, which means it's going to go on for generations and generations. These kids, if you can't respect your parents, there's nobody else on the planet you can respect. And these kids that are being raised by single moms, and I'm not trying to trash single moms, but can't we even agree in the year 2026 that a child is pretty much better off with a male and a female in the house, with a male idol or mentor that can teach them how to tie a tie, how to change a tire, how to open a door for a woman, no matter what it is or where it is. But these kids aren't growing up with that. And particularly in my community, the Black community, that lack of leadership has caused so many deaths and people just throwing away their lives because it's within the culture. I was going to play some audio for you guys to illustrate what I'm talking about, how it's embedded in Black culture. I couldn't play it. There were too many F's and N's and MFs and blah, 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 blah. But the theme of the audio was a guy got disrespected. A guy got disrespected and he wanted to kill the other guy. And it's embedded now in our children, where violence and overreacting, something going from 0 to 1,000 in a minute, is acceptable. It's absolutely acceptable. I've told you what a lot of people aren't talking about in terms of Carmelo Anthony. He had already been in trouble because we had Teresa Golder on, who said it's not against the law to take a knife to a track meet. It's against the law to take a knife to a school. And Carmelo Anthony had already been in trouble and, in fact, was under a suspension at the time of the attack. And what Black supporters won't tell you, wait till you get a load of the video. Wait till you get a load of the video. Because from what I understand, the video is incredibly telling. And it absolutely refutes a lot of what was said about how they approached Carmelo Anthony. The video, and I don't know if we'll ever see it. I think we should, for the sake, if for nothing else, race relations. Because anybody that supports Carmelo Anthony is just wrong. You're just wrong. And it's as far up as Congress. Jasmine Crockett is running her mouth. It's who we are as a society. Let's face it. It's who we are as a society. All these things that I'm talking about are all embedded in our society. The victimization of a suspect. The suspect is somehow a victim. That somebody forced Carmelo Anthony to shove a knife into some guy's chest and not think that that is a serious crime that you're going to go away for a long time. And the other horrible note from this, because now we're starting to learn more and more after the trial, the parents did not want a plea deal. They could have pled this thing out. That boy would have done 3 to 5 years. He'd be out maybe in 3. He'd do 5, 6 years, maybe be out in 3 or 4. No criminal record, 3.75 GPA. And they said, no, we want to take it to trial. And then listen to the attorney who apparently gave them advice. I don't know whether, I find it hard to believe that it was the attorney that told them that the boy should not testify. I find that really hard to believe because I think even a law student would know if you're going to claim self-defense, then you've got to tell your story. You've got to explain how in the world you reached into a bag to get a knife so that you could shove it in the kid's face and then shove it into his chest, all because he pushed you. He pushed you. That's not what happened. This kid felt like he got punked. He got disrespected. Nobody's going to disrespect me. See you later. Say goodbye to your childhood. Say goodbye to your innocence. 15, 17 years from now, you'll come out, middle-aged man, trying his best to get a freaking job with a felony rap on a sheet. Just doesn't make any sense. Just simply doesn't make any sense. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the day before I fall asleep or pass out, one of the two. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I didn't eat today. Oh, I'm lying. I had a tiny little piece of chicken and like a quarter of a baked potato and a couple of pieces of broccoli. I totally lied. But I mean, that was nothing. I was embarrassed to take it home. It was about the size, piece of chicken was like the size, maybe a little bit bigger than a, I don't know, about, you know what it is? About 3 centimeters. It was about the size of that knot on my head. That's why it was just a tiny little piece of chicken. Tiny little piece of big potato. But I had the soup. They had vegetable beef last night. It was really good. Really good. Quick time out. We're wrapping this thing up. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. Tomorrow is a Wednesday. The Van Alstynes, Jennifer and Ryan, join us, and then they're going on vacation. I'm going to have to start hiring poorer regulars. You can't afford to go on these vast trips during the holidays. Leave me sitting here by my dammy. You know what I'm saying? But they will join us. They're doing kind of a tutorial over the next couple of weeks when they get back from their vacation, explaining to you business owners what you may not know and what you need to know about your IT. And don't forget, the Kern Radio Studios are powered by the folks at Adaptive Networks. And hopefully we'll have a supervisor on the program to talk about their suit against the city and the sewer rates. Maybe we'll reach out to Mr. Peters. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip.
Is this car out there? Huh? Who's could it be? It's not Jay Reed's.
You're right. It's probably not Jay. Unless it is JR.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was I doubt it too. I feel better though. Make that walk, that long walk. And I'm eating Cheetos too. And I picked the worst thing to come out of that damn machine. Freaking Cheetos. All right, what do we do today? Please stand by. You ready? 3, 2. So we're one of the few shows that are reporting what the California Post is reporting. They've identified one of the 8 members aboard that B-52 that crashed at Edwards. They have identified one of the men as Lieutenant Colonel Miles Middleton, a decorated test pilot. And there were also government contractors and 2 Boeing employees in the plane as well. And he leaves behind a wife and 2 children. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne from Adaptive Networks will join us. We'll have the latest on, what will we have the latest on? 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, will join us, the team that fuels our IT needs here at AGM. And we'll have the latest on, God damn it, what did I say?
B-52?
No, it was going to be the latest on. Oh, the MOA, the MOU. I did say MOA. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Well, it's a Wednesday. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, will join us, the team that fuels our IT needs here at AGM. And, of course, the latest on the Iranian deal that is expected to be signed on Friday. All that, plus me at 3. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3. Chain, 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 chain. Chain, 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 chain the fool. Tina Turner! No, not Tina Turner. Aretha Franklin! Right? Okay. Give me back my black card. I thought it was going to be Tina. It's the Queen of Soul. Biggest breasts you ever saw, boy. She had to get her bras especially made. I know a couple of women like that. I won't name any names. Carla Collins. God, that doesn't get back to her. Her employees listen. That was really kind of one of the problems with our relationship. Her underlings listened to my show, and it disturbed Carla quite a bit that they would know things about her weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like if we went out of town or we went to dinner, I'd be like, yeah, we went to this. And then her employees would be like, because she's kind of a big cheese at Mercy Hospital. And her employees was like, I heard you went to dinner this weekend.
I hate that.
I know.
I hate that so much.
I know.
Can you guys just mind your own freaking business?
No kidding. No kidding. I even ran into one of her employees at our golf tournament. And she said, I know your ex. And I was like, I felt like saying, lady, look at these wrinkles on this face. I've never been married. You gotta pull out a list. And she said, you know what I'm talking about. And I said, to be honest with you, I really don't. And she said, Carla. I said, oh, yeah. She is my most recent girlfriend. You're absolutely right. But I don't know. She could have been talking about Roxana. And I've really only had 6 or 7 women that I would consider my girlfriend. You know, relationships that lasted more than 2 years. My record is 4. Isn't that sad? That's my record. 4. Never gone past 4 years. What do you got, Burdick? What's your longest?
Off and on or full go?
Depends on what the off is. How long is the off?
The off was a couple of years.
Oh, no, that doesn't count.
Yeah, I
No,
didn't think
that
so. Longest, I would say 2.5, almost 3. But off and on, if we counted that, would probably be about 6. It's the same girl, but
You're behind Bailey. Because when I was 31, I had dated Kim for 3.5 years before I moved up here, almost 4. And I dated Sheena for 2 years before Kim came into my life, and I dumped her unceremoniously after she carried me when I had no money. I just was really not a good person in my 20s. I really wasn't. I had a Social Security problem. I told the story, I think, last week. I had a Social Security problem when I was at the LA Sentinel, and I didn't get paid for like 3 months. Literally, did not get paid for 3 months. I didn't pay rent because I was living with my uncle, but I still had to put gas in my car. I still had to eat. And my girlfriend, Sheena Lester, the assistant managing editor's daughter. Yeah, I'm a Phi Beta Kappa. Yeah, I know. Basically lived with me for the 3 months and kept me alive. We would leave the newspaper and just go to my house, and she'd buy dinner, and we'd kick it, and boo, boo, boo. And then in walked Kimberly Michelle Williams with her track legs and her green eyes. And I kind of played them both for a little bit. And then once I got paid, I kind of booted Sheena. And then Kim was a friend of, I got introduced by a colleague at the Sentinel to Kim. So Kim would show up on Tuesday nights, which is our publishing night, claiming not to see me, because I told her, you got to knock this off. Her father is the damn assistant managing editor. And she would show up to see her friend and then come by my desk and want to suddenly get involved in public display of affection, which that's not me. I'm not a hand holder. I'm not a big kisser in public. And Kim would come up and stick her tongue down my tonsils in hopes that Sheena would walk by or see it. And it was just, and I loved it. No, I did not love it. Let's read 2 text messages and then the daunting task. Can Bailey make it? Can Bailey walk 1.5 miles dead into the sun without passing out with only a piece of chicken, a piece of a baked potato, and several Cheetos in his stomach?
Will the ribs sustain him?
Ooh, but it is rib night. It's rib night at Lawson's. Ribs and macaroni and cheese. And it's all organic. Have I told you the phenomenon of Lawson's?
What's that?
I don't think I have. And I mentioned it to the cashier. And so now every time I walk in, he starts cracking up. Every single time I've gone to Lawson's, there's been a black person in the building. Now, normally in most cities, if you said that, they'd look at you like you're a Martian. But it's Bakersfield with all of its 5% of black people. And every single time, I'll tell you tomorrow if it happens. And now, I told this to the guy that's the regular cashier. I walk in, and he's dealing with a black guy. And our eyes meet, and we both just start laughing. I was like, trying to tell you, every single time. That's going to do it for us. I want to thank Howard Marcus for joining us. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield. An American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. In the runoff elections in Georgia tonight, Congressman Mike Collins has defeated challenger Derek Dooley for the Republican nomination for Senate. Collins advances to face incumbent Democratic Senator John Ossoff in the November election in a race that could determine control of the U.S. Senate. In the governor's race, Rick Jackson is leading Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones for the GOP nomination to challenge the Democratic candidate Keisha Lance Bottoms. At the G7 in France, President Trump says he does not want Israel to get in the way of a deal with Iran.
That's Trump.
I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah.
Oh, it's over.
It should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal, and that's the deal with Iran.
Iran says one of the conditions of the deal is that Israel must withdraw from Lebanon. Ohio's governor says that the state should abolish the death penalty.
Republican Governor Mike DeWine says he believes that the death penalty should be abolished in Ohio.
I no longer believe the death penalty is a deterrent to murder. The moral justification I had for voting for the death penalty simply no longer exists.
DeWine says that most who are convicted of the death penalty in Ohio die of natural causes or suicide or taken off death row by a court, and says that the small number of death row cases that actually end in execution does not provide a convincing deterrent for violent crime, including murder.
Therefore, I believe Ohio should abolish the death penalty.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
On Wall Street, the Dow by 328 points, the Nasdaq dropped 307. More at townhall.com.
Advantage Gold, America's #1 precious metals company, is sounding the alarm that a storm is coming and that now is the time to diversify your portfolio before it's too late. That's why we're offering an emergency gold and silver protection kit valued at $49, absolutely free for anyone who calls today at 800-900-8000. This kit includes critical information for investors with a retirement account seeking to own physical gold and silver, but want to do it tax and penalty free. Advantage Gold has helped investors protect and secure their wealth with physical gold and silver since 2014. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 and we'll rush your emergency gold and silver kit plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. See how gold and silver can help you protect and secure your wealth with the help of Advantage